the audience, this is purely voluntary. We just would like to get to know who you are, if you're willing to let us know who you are. I'm going to start with Erin and come around this way.
Erin Eckerd, Registrar's Assistant.
Don Chang, Legal Counsel, or Substitute Legal Counsel for the meeting.
John O'Rourke, Board Member.
Nancy Springer, Board Member.
Laura Zuniga, Chief of Legislation.
Paul Shafino, Board Member.
Cindy Christensen, Chief Deputy Registrar.
Dave Diaz, Board Member.
Joan Hancock, Board Member.
Steve Sands, Registrar.
Ed Lang, Board Member.
Dave Fote, Chief of Enforcement.
Augie Beltran, Board Member.
Bob Lamb, Board Member.
Rick Lopes, Chief of Public Affairs.
Pastor Herrera, Board Member.
Linda Clifford, Board Member.
Raju Shah, IT Management.
Don Cass, formerly with the LACD attorney.
Ken Grosspark, Appalachian Grosspark 11.
William Gilding, I'm a 30-year member of the Uniform Cost Accounting Commission, of which I had comments I'll make during the oral community.
Joe Upchurch, District Council 6.
Thank you. You know, it was at last year's June board meeting when Paul Shafino was chair that Paul asked for a moment of silence to commemorate those victims of the Boston Marathon bombing and also shootings, I believe, at the University of Texas. And I'm sorry to have to be the one to do this, but I'm also proud, and I would also like to ask our board if they would mind commemorating this meeting to the victims of the shootings in Santa Barbara and Isla Vista. And without objection, I'd like to note that for the record. And I'd also, at this time, just like to take a moment of silence for the victims of that incident and their friends, their families, the students, the community, friends of friends, and for our very own daughter of Steve Sands, our registrar, his daughter, Emily, who's alive and well, but everyone suffers, and Emily was a student at UCSB. So if we just take a moment of silence for about a minute, that would be acceptable. Thank you. I'd also like to remind us all of tomorrow's 70th anniversary of D-Day and remember those who went before us as well that served. At this time, I am honored to introduce someone who is a 30-year veteran of the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office. Don Cass and his wife, better half Linda, is here today. And the Contractors Board has had a long-standing relationship with the City of LA Attorney's Office. And that office has been very instrumental in pursuing complaints in the area of consumer protection by those victims who have been injured by unscrupulous perpetrators, many of whom are in the construction business. Don Cass is the supervisor of the LA City Attorney's Office, serving at the helm of this particular unit, the Consumer Protection Unit, and he's here today, as I announced. It is an honor to recognize Don Cass. He's a long-term friend of CSLB. He has partnered with CSLB in our efforts to protect consumers from unlicensed and dishonest operators. He has been a leader in consumer protection and in battling the underground economy. He's a role model for prosecuting agencies throughout our state, those prosecuting individuals who commit construction fraud. Don has prosecuted 100% of all the cases referred to him by the CSLB. And in particular, I just want to repeat that Don has been a leader in consumer protection and in battling the underground economy. And I mentioned he was a role model in prosecuting cases, on behalf of the city of LA, but a role model for prosecuting attorneys throughout the state. He's prosecuted 100% of the cases that CSLB has handed the city attorney's office in LA. And if there's one case that sticks out for us as board members, it's the Bushnell case. And in that case, the construction individual, I won't call him a contractor because I believe he was unlicensed, took a 100% deposit from an elderly and disabled homeowner. And this was for a kitchen remodel, I believe. And after demoing the kitchen, he abandoned the project. And Don pursued this case, and he was able to get restitution in the amount of $20,000 for the homeowner, and also get 3 years in jail or prison, jail for the individual. So this is not obviously Don's only case prosecuting 100% of the ones that we've handled him. Don retired in April of this year, and he is pursuing his retirement with his lovely wife, Linda, and your retirement is going to come as a great loss to CSLB. And I, on behalf of this board, am very grateful for your service and your collaboration with us. And at this time, we would like to present you, if you would be so kind as to come up to the front with a plaque. And if there's something that you would like to say in advance of that,
Oh, sure.
please go to the dais and do so.
They'll make a complaint with police, and police will tell them it's a civil matter, oftentimes not even referring them to the Contractors State License Board. Many in the community don't realize the extent of the harm that unlicensed and unscrupulous contractors inflict on the public. It's not only economic harm, but emotional as well, since a person's home is usually involved. Unlicensed contractors typically perform substandard work, sometimes creating unsafe conditions. They often abandon jobs, leaving a demolition in their wake, and engage in fraud. Many of the victims are poor or elderly, and as you mentioned, sometimes in the more tragic cases, they have physical disabilities or they're suffering from dementia. Back around 2005, I contacted Dave Fote after viewing news reports concerning 2 unlicensed contractors who were flagrantly victimizing homeowners in Southern California. And the report mentioned that these unlicensed individuals had received administrative citations from the Contractors Board, but had chose to ignore it and continue victimizing people. I made a proposition to Dave at the time. I said, listen, my office will take all your unlicensed contractors case for criminal prosecution. That way we could receive appropriate punishment for these individuals, as well as obtaining restitution for the victims. Dave he worked closely with us. He assigned an investigator who we work with to streamline the investigation process and also come up with a model investigative report. And it was and it still is, I hope, highly successful collaboration. We successfully prosecuted hundreds of cases in Los Angeles. And a few years back, I was doing a calculation of the amount of restitution and that we had actually recovered for victims, because oftentimes, one of the challenges in the criminal system is to obtain the restitution. You can always get an order. You could have an order for $1 million, but under the criminal system, courts often allow defendants or they limit defendants to their stated ability to pay, which is cents on the dollar. But I calculated at that time that we'd actually recovered in excess of $1.5 million for victims, so it's highly successful. I'd like to thank the many investigators who actually made this possible. Some names come to mind, and this is a limited list. Are Santasha Morgan, Sergio Alvarado, and Lydia Patron. Now that I'm retired, I only hope that the work can continue in my office and also in other offices throughout the state. And thank you again.
Sure, Pastor, you're going to get to field some questions. You're not done with
Okay.
No, I just
being on the
wanted to,
stand.
I just wanted to add to your comments, Madam Chair, and
Yeah.
to Don. Don worked with our department when I was at the Department of Consumer Affairs as director. And he was, as you mentioned, a real champion of consumer protection. And I'm so proud that the Contractor State License Board has recognized him for the years of service, that he was there with very limited staff. Most city attorneys and district attorneys' offices are very short-handed. They have very, very limited budgets, very limited staff, but Don really set the pace. He was committed to consumer protection, of course, to dealing with cases, not only unlicensed contractors, but we worked with him on immigration consultants, unfair business practices, false advertising, and he would open the doors and say, how can we help you? Congratulations.
Thank you, Pastor.
Good luck with your retirement, and we'll keep in touch.
We will.
Anyone else have comments? Okay, if you would mind coming up
thank you.
front. Steve, do you have a
Where do you want them, Rick?
appropriate place by the flag? So, before we get our picture taken, if you stand here, we could recognize you. I'm going to read this plaque so that, first of all, everybody can see it. The Contractor State License Board recognizes Donald Cass, Los Angeles City Attorney's Office Supervising Attorney. Please accept this plaque and our sincere appreciation in recognition of your commitment to protecting the citizens and law-abiding businesses of the City of Los Angeles. Your dedicated efforts to prosecute individuals who commit construction fraud have greatly contributed to the safety of consumers and to the integrity of the construction industry. Your partnership with CSLB has resulted in greater consumer protection for California. It has been an honor to partner with you in this effort, and we appreciate your support, assistance, and professionalism.
Thank you.
So much.
Both of you take one step to your right. There you go. Perfect.
Or not. Everything's gonna crash today. No, we're gonna have to go with that.
Can I get one with them?
I doubt it.
Maybe not.
She is the chair. Joan, you can get closer.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect.
Congratulations.
Nice to see you, Dave. Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really well done. That's a hard act to follow. All right, at this time, I'd also like to mention, if I haven't, welcomed the people in the audience to our meeting today, and to let you know that this is a two-day meeting, and tomorrow we welcome the NSCB, Nevada State Contractors Board, and so we will look forward to them joining us tomorrow. At this time, do any board members have any comments about endeavors in the industry? All right, Mr. Shafino.
Can I apologize for being late?
It's noted.
Felt terrible. Duly noted.
Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Okay, agenda item C, public comment. This item is provide for public comment pertaining to items on the agenda as well as items not on the agenda. However, the board cannot take any action on items not listed on the agenda. The CSLB welcomes public comment on any item on the agenda, and it is the CSLB's intent to ask for public comment prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. But if for some reason we forget to ask for public comment on an agenda item, a member of the public desiring to comment on an item should raise their hand and they will be recognized. And we will be limiting public comment to 5 minutes per individual. Are there any individuals that wish to address the board at this time? Yes, sir. Please come forward and restate your name.
W.R. Dildine. I hold an inactive contractor's license 230825, issued December 28th, 64. I've kept my nose clean. I've had corporation, retired NECA contractor, been active in Sacramento for years. Got involved with Public Works after getting the shaft. One thing, back in, I believe it was 84, went into law, the Uniform Construction Cost Accounting Commission. We've had trouble with funding ever since. Originally, in those days, the unions were strong, the industry had a lot of money. We paid for a lot of things. I got a master's degree or a doctorate in the cost accounting at their expense, writing a manual that's been taken to court on certain issues and proven correctly. The thing that troubles me, in 1990, section 7137.5 was added to the contractor's license law, titled Transfer of Funds for Use of Uniform Construction Cost Accounting Commission, Recommendation, Reimbursement. The commission tried, and it's been a long story. I've given Mr. Sands, or not Sands, Mr. Dave some paperwork. I'm on the verge of Parkinson's. I have trouble speaking and had 8 eye surgeries. I've got major problems with myself. But this has been there. We owe you $10,000 for 25 years. What court of law would take if we as individuals have something? Get rid of this. I think it gives a bad image. One of the things that prompted me to come today was the recent, or will be enacted July 1st, was Assembly Bill 44, which had to do with the Subletting and Fair Practices Act, which I'm proud to say I got into the Public Contract Code out of general law, for requirements for subcontractors to put on their bids, or the general contractors for listing as subcontractors. There are problems out there. We, the public, are the government, the local entities, the school districts, we're all having problems. I know of more problems in Northern California. I know of problems in my own backyard. I'm not going to elaborate on here because I have to walk home by City Hall. But I would like to see the potentially discussion amongst you folks to bring the commission under your purview. There have been no qualms over any accounting practices. It's all legal acts in reference to the public contract law. Personally, I'll say this, I just got a call. You're going to laugh. I will see you August the 1st. Yesterday, I got a call from the State Controller's Office. They don't have anybody to succeed me. Consequently, would I please come for, we'll have a quorum. I will go. But it's something I think there's got to be some of you that would be interested in sitting down and as a group and having a discussion, or maybe form a committee or something, but I think it would be a real benefit to the public works contractors. One time they were saying put $2 on every license. Come back, hey, not every contractor does public works. I think anybody doing public works today, if it was a $500 for 2 years, I would pay it in addition to my whatever the fee is to renew a license. There's just that much problem out there. And very few of us have the time to come forth and complain. And I felt today was the opportunity. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Any board members have a response? All right, anyone else from the public wishing to address the board at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item D. This is the review and approval of the April 24th board meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those, before I take a vote, any discussion by board members? Any discussion from the public? Anyone wishing to address last meeting minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. Let's move into agenda item E, the Enforcement Committee report. Ed Lang, Chair of the Enforcement Committee, will give this report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. As board members are aware, a licensed HVAC company has written a letter to all board members voicing their concern with service and repair scams. All board members have received a copy of the letter. David and I, and this is for your information, David and I will be meeting with the owner next week, and we'll keep you posted on that. Let's go to agenda item E1, Enforcement Programs Update. The Enforcement Division has been working on exciting events since our last meeting. The first CSLB Enforcement Academy was held on May 12th through the 16th in Norwalk. I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you, Steve and Dave, for putting this through, because we have one of the top-notch academy in the state, so I like that. Retired annuitant Dave Galbraith and the Deputy Attorney General Michael Franklin instructed staff on investigative techniques and effective interviewing, report writing, B&P code training, and time management skills. Board member Bob Lamb, thank you, Bob, was in attendance at the final day of presented the graduates of the academy and with their certificate of a completion, and they were really proud of that. Southern Swift staff lent a... Yes, please, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, but I thought the board would like to know how appreciative the staff was for the training they're getting now. And several of you that have been here a little while know that this kind of stemmed from something I sort of hatched in my brain, just to speak to staff without any supervisors around. And the first thing they said was they wanted more training. And, you know, we've given them training, I think, that is second to none in the state of California that I've ever heard of. And they are all just over the moon. They were so proud to get the certificates. It was just so much fun to see. And I wanted to make sure that you all knew that how appreciative they are and how much I think it's going to help the board be much more productive going forward and to continue to be the top, I'm going to say, board in the whole state for years to come if we keep up the training like we're doing. It's just fantastic, and everybody really appreciated it. And I want to personally thank every one of you for your support on this too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, and very well done, and they do appreciate the training. No, you started the ball rolling, so that's good. Southern Swift staff lent a helping hand to the victims of the San Diego wildfires. Staff provided homeowners with helpful information and partnered with the San Diego District Attorney's Office and the Department of Insurance to meet and answer questions from affected homeowners. They placed CSLB's disaster area signs to deter unlicensed activity and deliver information packages throughout the area. Staff conducted a presentation in which they answered questions from the community regarding unlicensed activity and approximately 100 attendees at the Elfin Forest Fire Station community meeting. And finally, staff participated in a press conference held by San Marcos Fire Department and conducted an interview with the Coast News regarding CSLB present on the task force. Right now, we're going to have David Folk provide information updates on the enforcement program.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. If we could turn to the first page of the enforcement program update, you'll see at the top of the page that through this fiscal year from July of 2013, we have been successful in recovering over $7 million to injured parties, those being consumers or often contractors that were not paid by a prime contractor. We've included 4 highlights under the Intake Mediation Center section. This is where the complaints are initially screened. These are licensee complaints. Our goal is to resolve 70% of them within 60 days. The 4 highlights, though, we found to be very interesting in that if a contractor doesn't have workers' compensation insurance and the complaint is referred to a field investigator, they're going to be cited. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot of licensed contractors that are employing workers without workers' comp, so we've had to relook at it a little bit, and that our citations are up 20%, and it's partly because of all of the contractors violating workers' comp requirements. If you take a moment to read these 4 highlights, what you'll see is that to avoid a citation, the contractors have paid full restitution to the injured parties, and that includes an elderly homeowner. So it's a very effective tool in that we're telling them, you've got to resolve this. If you don't, you're in violation and you will be cited. And moving on to page 2, just wanted to provide you an update on a couple of somewhat high-profile cases. The first one addresses a contractor that it caused considerable damage, and this is something we see in a lot of these consumer complaints, where the contractor won't provide a payment schedule that's directly referenced to the work to be done. Instead, they want to be paid weekly, $10,000 a week in this case, no matter what the value of the work was performed, and that's a problem. And what you find is that the contract price is soon paid in full, and that's what happened here. $262,000 paid in full, the work's not done. In fact, most of the work that was performed was defective and had to be redone. Caused a tremendous injury to these folks. And it was also partly because they didn't have a building permit. Now you'll see that we indicate that we made a referral to the San Mateo County DA's office, which is correct. But subsequent to doing that, we discovered additional victims. So this has become quite a criminal case at this matter. We want to make sure that we have enough victims with our filing to achieve our desired result, which is going to be some incarceration time. The next highlight was one that we have a licensee, contracting expired, took a almost $6,000 deposit, performed minimal work, abandoned the job. Good thing. His mother, though, knew how to get into his house and was able to recover over $3,000 for restitution. But that was, ultimately, though, he was cited and he was ordered to pay the balance of the money owed, which he did, and so it had a relatively good outcome. But what didn't have an outcome that we would have liked to see is the one on the bottom, father and son revokees. Serious problem. We have a revoked licensee conspiring with the licensed contractor. There was serious financial injury. There was felonies committed. And we're seeing this now with the prison realignment, and that if it's not a violent crime and you can't show a pattern, what you have is a situation where somebody is convicted of felonies. In this case, we verified yesterday that I guess Mr. Walker pled out on 2 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. 2 felonies for grand theft. Didn't do any time in jail. But has to pay the restitution. So it was a little disheartening to see that. At the top of page 4, we have an elderly woman that was scammed by a service and repair contractor. She responded to the $35 furnace inspection, and as we're seeing all too often, was compelled to pay far more than that. This case, while referred to the DA, has become part of our service and repair task force. So we're looking for opportunities in a case similar to this. We didn't include the contractor's name because what we want to do to help protect our elderly victims and witnesses is to set up our own undercover sting operations, which is what's happening in this situation. And moving on to page 5, in the middle of the page, we have Mr. Burke that again, he was committing criminal offenses, and he has a warrant out for his arrest. And this is an opportunity where we're now inviting these individuals, if they have a working phone number, to our sting operations, and we hope that
San Jose. Partnering with the California Energy Commission, the Ambassador Program was launched as the well-attended event held at the Sheet Metal Workers Local Union Hall in San Jose. The meeting brought together HVAC contractors and building department officials to discuss permit requirements and importance of obtaining valid workers' compensation insurance for employees. Presenters included representatives from the Santa Clara District Attorney's Office, CSLB, CEC, the County Building Official Association, CalCerts, and the Employment Development Department. Special thanks to our board member David Diaz and Nancy Springer, who were presenters and assisted in making the town hall meeting a success. So thank you. Okay. Chief Spoke will now further discuss this outreach program.
Well, thank you. Just to give you an update on where we're at with the permit campaign part of this. We have sent a letter to all of the attendees of the HVAC conference in San Jose, and we're looking for 10 of them to partner with us as part of our ambassador program, where we will work with them to develop a packet that they'll leave at the point of sale with their customer. And the idea is that that consumer will clearly understand that if they hire somebody that's licensed, that's going to obtain the permit and do the job right, they're going to save a considerable amount of money on their energy cost. They can recover that money in as little as 2 years, perhaps even sooner. Just to give you a point of reference, the average cost of a permit, and thank you, Board Member Springer, for providing this information, is about $150. The cost of a HERS rater to come out and test the system is $300 to $350. They don't have to test every installation. If they find the ductwork is excessively leaking, well, that can cost you another $600 to $800. But what the consumers need to understand is they can go to their utility company and they can put in their address, the number of inhabitants of that dwelling, how often they're home, and they can figure out what they're spending on a monthly basis for their energy costs. And they can clearly see how quickly they can recover the additional amount of money they paid for that installation. And I believe that's going to resonate with consumers. We're identifying 10 of the attendees to partner with as a pilot so we can gauge the effectiveness of this. And we're also going to focus on the city of San Jose because that building official stepped up and said, I want to be part of this. I'm going to assist you in achieving success. And once we achieve success, we'll come back to the board and seek to perhaps expand it. But another component of our outreach to the HVAC industry is regarding the predatory service and repair contractors. And it just seems that every day it's getting worse. These contractors are literally making millions of dollars scamming consumers. We are putting together a town hall meeting in San Leandro, and again, thanks to board member David Diaz, he has provided us a location where we can invite up to 100 contractors to come down and understand what the law requires when they're bidding these jobs. And just to really summarize this as quickly as I can, people are calling up because their air conditioner, their heater's not working. That's a service and repair call. When that technician goes out, they can only respond to what that call was for, and the limit is $750. Now, what you find is that most of these technicians that are going out are not registered home improvement salespersons. They must be. If they're going to exceed $750, or they're going to be selling something for which the call wasn't made, and this right now, let's go back to the winter, you're calling because your heater's not working, they're selling an air conditioning unit. That person didn't call because their air conditioning unit wasn't working. They cannot sell that unit. They got a call for what we abbreviated as an HIS, home improvement salesperson. They're not doing that. They also have to provide the 3-day cooling off period. They're not providing that, and they're clearly misrepresenting the work that needs to be done. Just because your heater doesn't work doesn't mean you need a new air conditioner. And so we want to explain this to the business owners. I explained this concept to Gary Allman. You've met him at a previous board meeting. He's the president of the Better Business Bureau. Gary said, you know what, that's a great idea, but you're missing one very important part of this. This industry is run by the technicians. They work for a contractor today and they'll work for somebody else tomorrow. They're also the ones that are on the hook for at least a misdemeanor for committing these violations. They're acting as a registered, as a home improvement salesperson. They're not registered. They're subject to a misdemeanor. He said what you really should do is set up a series of meetings where you train the technicians so that they understand what the law requires and they can become our allies. So that's in the process right now. But the good news is, for Alameda, we got the DA's office on board. Hopefully Rick Lopes is going to be able to find somebody from the media, and we have one of the top officers of the heating and air conditioning, the National Heating and Air Conditioning Association is also going to be a presenter. But once we do that in San Leandro, we are going to go ahead and move it out and start training these technicians because they truly can be our allies. And it's fairly interesting that many of them now have come to us and they want to give statements, video recorded statements of what they did while employed with this HVAC contractor. Quite interesting because they're laying out the scam and they're going to be our witnesses for the criminal cases.
Very good. Thank you, David, for that explanation of the outreach program of HVAC. Any comments from our board members? Yes, David.
I just want to everybody know Dave set it up, did a great job along with Rick Lopes. I mean, just did an amazing job. Nancy did a great job as a presenter. Leanne Young, and I don't know, well, all the staff that was there did an outstanding job. It was basically standing room only. They invited, I don't know how many RSVP'd, but whatever it was, it hit it. I mean, whoever RSVP came because there was no more packets left. That's how many people wanted to go and see this thing. And some of the questions they were asking, I think some of the contractors were enlightened, to put it that way. They didn't realize the real law that was going on and what they had to do as a HVAC contractor. So I want to thank Dave and the staff. It was a great job.
Very good. Any other comments on the HVAC? Yes.
I just have an observation, and congratulations to Steve and David, and thanks for the board's help here. I think it was a great thing to actually implement. And I guess, is there plans to do other areas similar to this down the road? I mean, this workshop or town hall, I guess, had one of the factors moving in the direction that was needed was because of the law that was going to be implemented. I don't know if you have plans for other areas, but I was thinking, there's a lot of buzz going on in LA, the greater LA area, concerning the retrofitting of cement constructed buildings. That down the road might be another opportunity to hold these type of workshops. I don't know if you could partner with the cities, because the LA city is, getting a lot of, UC Berkeley did a big survey of all the buildings in LA that possibly could be severely damaged in an earthquake. And so there's going to be probably, if something is passed by the city council enforcing or requiring building owners to retrofit their buildings, it's going to be a big, big undertaking. And I think contractors could be a really right-hand person to provide information to their contractors or small business owners or small landlords to really know what they're going to get into and how they can be protected there. That's just a thought down the road.
Thank you for those comments. Anyone else? Public? Okay. Hearing none. Madam Chair, this ends the Enforcement Committee's report.
Thank you. Let's move to Agenda Item F for the Public Affairs Committee report. Pastor Herrera Jr. will provide this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just kind of give some of the highlights, and I'll let Mr. Lopes kind of give you the more details. First of all, I want to thank Steve for always being kind of our public affairs informer to the board once a week. You really provide us with some good updates, which kind of lets us know what's going on, not only with the cases, but many other areas that we're going to be reporting to right now. Very briefly, the staffing situation is there are 2 vacancies currently, graphic designer and a student assistant. And the graphic designer, there's some potential candidates which will be interviewed down the road. The social media outreach by the department, by the division, has really been very, very aggressive, not only through email, but Facebook, by Twitter, you name it. They're trying to get the information out in one way or another. Just this morning, Rick and his staff posted a press release concerning what Mr. Lang, what you mentioned, the San Marcos fire, where they had a sting operation there. There was 10 arrests of some unlicensed contractors, and Rick will probably give you more information on that. We commend you for kind of being so proactive in that area. Scan stoppers continue to be a very, very impressive workshop on in the community, informing particularly elders what their rights should be, how to protect themselves, not only against unscrupulous licensees, but also unlicensed contractors. In fact, they're doing one today in my own assembly district in Glendale. And the staff doesn't seem to have a legislative break. It seems like they're doing more during the summer than during the regular session. This month in June, they have 8 scheduled. In July, they have 6. So they're really moving ahead in that area. And I encourage any of the board members that are near one of the sessions to participate. It's a great event. You kind of hear what's going on by seniors and the community in the areas of contractors and some other consumer fraud issues. Take it away, Rick.
Thank you, Pastor. Actually, you've hit a lot of the good points, and thank you for that. Yeah, we were in San Marcos this morning. Public Affairs worked closely with the Enforcement Division. 3 weeks ago was the Cocos fire in San Marcos. There was about, I believe, 65 or so structures, not all of them homeless, but destroyed. So our enforcement team, the SWIFT folks, were out there very quickly with what they formed with their partners, the San Diego Wildfire Task Force. It was the Department of Insurance and district attorney are two of the main players. They went out very early on, as we normally do after a disaster, and they posted signs, walked the neighborhoods, talked to the fire victims, really got the word out. And so going into the sting operation that they conducted yesterday, we had a pretty good idea that we were not going to be able to catch anybody and charge them with a felony because we just weren't seeing advertisements. We weren't getting reports from consumers. We weren't getting reports from licensees that there were a lot of people. So I think in this case, the word really has gotten out there, and we did not have any felony arrests. So when we did our press conference today, that was part of our highlights. But the fact is, we had no problem inviting people out who weren't necessarily trying to take advantage of the fire victims, but they were willing to take advantage of anybody. And so we did catch 10 people. One of them was a repeat offender, somebody who we just cited in February. He took a $21,000 in payments from an active sailor down in San Diego, abandoned the job, has not paid our citation, so they invited him to the sting, and he showed up, was a little bit on the belligerent side. Luckily for the cops, the guy made it easy for them to haul him off to jail because he had prescription drugs in his pocket that weren't his, a significant number of prescription drugs. And so they made it very easy and gave the cops a nice reason to haul him off to jail, which they were happy to do. And so we did our press conference today. We had representation from all the TV stations. I think there's 7 TV stations in San Diego that do news now, plus the Union Tribune, the main newspaper, was there as well. So we'll get reports, and we expect to see pretty good coverage tonight and through tomorrow. And the best part of it is the fact is right now it appears that the outreach is working, and we're not seeing the fire victims being taken advantage of, which is a good thing. Okay, getting into the rest of the report, on page 1, I just wanted to note the website redesign project. With what you've seen us running around here today, we're planning to give a presentation, kind of show you some of the website stuff which is not launched, but seeing the technical problems we're having today, we're hoping that'll work tomorrow. But our plan is to give you a little sneak peek at that tomorrow morning. On to pages 2 and 3 is just some of the social media reports. Things do continue to grow. We do focus a lot of attention. We have also, today with our press release, we used Flickr for the first time. We have a new Flickr page that we can post photos on. So we're looking for those opportunities as well. On page 4 was just our portion of the HVAC conference that Dave mentioned earlier. We did videotape the entire conference, and it is available on our YouTube page. So if anybody does want to go back and watch, it is there and available to watch. Moving through to pages 5 and into 6 is just some of the other media, the press releases, and also we did a border blitz with our cohorts from the Nevada board, and we went ahead and shot video and made that available to the media as well. And then getting into page 7, as Pastor mentioned, is a schedule of senior scam stoppers. Just wanted to make sure the board understands that we've got one person assigned to do scam stoppers. So when you see all these different locations, especially in the same week, when you see something in Los Angeles, something in the Bay Area, maybe something in Sacramento, that's one person doing all that traveling. Jane Kreidler, and hopefully a number of you have met her, but she does a great job, and she's tireless, and she loves what she does, and she never gets tired of traveling, which is a great thing because she makes a real difficult schedule for herself, but she does do a great job. And with that, that is the program update.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
In your report, you said something about Flickr report? What is that?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. This is good. This means I actually know something I probably shouldn't for my age. It's owned by Yahoo. It's like a photo sharing website, and so we've got an account there. It's like YouTube, but for still photos.
Instagram?
So, well, Instagram's another one. That's more to kind of communicate. But what we do is we can post them. It works out better for us is we can post these pictures, and then the media can download them in different resolutions. If they want a smaller file, they can do a smaller file, bigger file. But it's a kind of a social media thing that Yahoo has.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and it's Flickr with no E. It's like Flikr.
Don't fear the flicker.
And once they're just public domain photos at that point. Once we put them out there, they can use them in media.
They can, and we've edited them. We took them during the operation yesterday, so things that we, faces we don't want to show in the light, we've mosaiced them, so we're fine with them being used.
Question?
Comment in regards to the senior scammer with Jane. She did an awesome job. We took advantage of the senior scammer for our Building and Safety Month, and she came up and did 2, and 1 we didn't have a great showing on, but she just went through the whole program, and it was fantastic. She did an absolutely wonderful job.
That's nice to hear.
Very
Thank you.
appreciate
She's a
that.
trooper.
Any other comments? Any comments from the public?
I have a comment. a long time ago, when I first came on the board, we had a chair of the Ledge Committee by the name of Steve Matich. And Steve held a Class A license. And something Steve said always stuck with me, but I never realized the importance of it until, well, gradually I realized the importance of it. And he used to say this: we make our friends before we need them. And what he meant by that is we have the opportunity to do outreach in the community, to do outreach in the state, and to partner with legislators. And we do this seriously, wholly because, or mostly because of these senior scam stoppers. We partner with them so we can get the message to seniors, to educate them about the predatory practices that are out there and how they can go about protecting themselves, and partnering with other DCA boards and bureaus. And we've had federal entities and community entities come in to do these things along with us. But there's generally always, I haven't seen one where we didn't have someone from the Assembly and someone from the Senate attending these meetings. The purpose really is to educate and protect our most, what do I want to say, our favorite constituents, or our most important constituents, most vulnerable, our seniors. And we get this message out through these scam stoppers, but we also get a bigger bang for our buck because who attends this? The legislature. There's a member there at every single one of these, and we partner with them. We get a free bang because they go on, they remember, it's part of their agenda, but they also remember us. And so they're there for us. We make our friends before we need them, and this is one of the ways we do it. I highly encourage other board members to connect up with the chair and the chief, and you're both doing a great job, so thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment?
I'd like to make one quick
Sure.
comment. You hit the nail on the head as far as I'm concerned, because the ones I've attended, we're training the legislatures too. I mean, anybody who's been in construction understands that how difficult it is. They may never have been around it and they don't understand it. And when they hear the issues and they hear what we do, I've seen their just light go on. They're like, wow, I had no idea it was so complicated. I had no idea that this was such a problem for the older constituents and every constituent in the state of California. So we're training, I think we're training them as well, and with term limits and everything else, it's always a good thing to have them continue. You know, I think they come just because they think, oh, I'm gonna get to sit and talk to voters, but they walk out thinking, wow, I've learned something here today. And I think that's what we also do too.
Thank you, Bob. That's a good point. Well taken. I think at this time, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and move on to the rest of the agenda. Wait a minute. All right, good afternoon. Before we move on to agenda item F, I'd like to recognize the members of the Nevada State Contractors Board who are here with us today and will be joining us tomorrow in a joint board session between with California and Nevada Contractors Board. Margie Grine, right there. She's the executive director. Nancy Mathis, raising her hand, who is the licensing administrator. David Brown, who's the attorney and a fascinating conversationalist. And Paul Rosario, who is new staff, I believe, new staff. Welcome, welcome all of you. And anybody else here? The rest of the board is shuffling in. Okay, great. Well, welcome, and we look forward to joining with you tomorrow. Agenda item G, legislation. Paul Shafino will present this item as chair of the Ledge Committee.
Everyone has a copy of this, I handed it out.
So this is the new and exciting Ledge presentation. Now remember the framework. The framework is, in Ledge, we recommend and we try to get the support of the legislature for laws that we like, and we monitor laws that impact our job description. And so first thing that Laura's going to present is a statute that we are recommending. It's supported by Senator Liu, who's one of our big shots that comes to all our scam stoppers, and he's one of our guys that Joan was talking about, that we give him his favorite chips by getting lots of good photo ops, and he helps us out when we need some help.
Not exactly what I said.
And he's also on the runoff for U.S. Congress.
That's right. That's right. He's a good man to know. All right, so Laura, do you want to go ahead and present the Ledge?
I handed out to everyone an analysis of SB 315, so I'll work off of this instead of the language that's in your packet. So SB 315 by Senator Liu was amended last week, and it carries all the proposals the board voted to sponsor. So everyone has it? Okay. And there's more outside. So it has 4 provisions in it, and so I'll just go through them briefly. The first one is a provision we talked about at our last meeting at strategic planning. It'll provide CSLB clear statutory authority to access business locations where labor is present. This is in relation to our work with the Joint Enforcement Strike Force, led by the Department of Labor Standards Enforcement. If DLSC is not present, it's questionable whether we have authority to go forward and be present. So this is going to provide us that authority. And we did run this language by DLSC, and they support this change.
So this is literally the access to the job site so that our enforcement officers can walk into the home or walk into the property without trespassing and say, okay, we're conducting an investigation.
Yes.
Okay.
The second proposal is one we talked about at our December board meeting. This is to deal with advertisements mostly like that we see on Craigslist, where people who are unlicensed are advertising for work that is clearly in excess of the $500 threshold that they can perform under our law. So this is going to specify that people who are unlicensed can only advertise for work that they're legally able to perform without a license. The third change is a proposal that we sponsored last year that was in one of our bills. The bill didn't make it forward, so this provision was kind of left from last year. So we're including in this bill. It would specify that contractors whose license has been suspended, either for failure to pay an outstanding tax liability or a civil judgment, that they're considered to be unlicensed, and if they continue to contract, they're subject to the same enforcement penalties as unlicensed, others who practice unlicensed. And then the fourth provision.
If I could ask a question, Laura, on this one. This says specifies that contractors whose licenses have been suspended, either for failure to pay outstanding civil judgment or for outstanding tax liability, yet continue to act as a contractor, are considered unlicensed contractors for the purposes of CSLB pursuing disciplinary action. Why doesn't it just say they're considered unlicensed contractors? Because candidly, if the contractors are out there and they not paying their tax liabilities, not paying their civil judgments, if we as a board say, or the legislature says, that makes them unlicensed contractors, then that triggers all the disgorgement and all the other laws that says, no, you're just going to get slapped into next week for not paying your stuff. I mean, this limits our recourse to disciplinary action.
Well, the section we're amending, 7028, is the provision about engaging in business without a license or contracting without a license. So we could consider that and look at something more broadly, whether we want to further define the term unlicensed. It's not actually very well defined in our statute.
No, and that's what I'm getting to right now. Right now, the courts are left deciding what is an unlicensed contractor. We know that if a contractor never obtains a license, we know he's unlicensed. If a contractor gets a license and it's suspended, what is it? Is it unlicensed? No. Does the court know? No. So they make it up as they go, because there's really no clear definition of what unlicensed is once you already have a license. That's all I'm bringing up. then, if this is an opportunity where we could grab hold of it, maybe we should, where we decide by statute, we recommend something that says, no, we're gonna make this unlicensed. That way, everything, we know exactly where we stand.
That's a good point, because it is, as it turns out, the interpretation of this section is varied, I think, amongst different jurisdictions in the state, where some people felt that it was already clear that they were unlicensed, other people didn't treat it that way. I don't know that we could broaden it at this point, since we're fairly late in the legislative process with this bill, just the way the timing worked out this year, but I think that's definitely something we should discuss for the legislative proposals for the fall.
I'm just stirring up the pot. That's my job. All right, number 4?
Okay. Under existing law, we're required to act on referrals from the Labor Commissioner within 30 days, and we aren't able to do that with our existing resources. So this would make that requirement permissive rather than mandatory, but then also provide that if we're going to take action, we have to do it within 180 days to give us the time to do it if we choose to do it. And part of the reason we're going forward with this is because of our fairly recent policy to disclose partnering agencies' violations on our website. So we are able to link to DLSC violations now, so that information is getting out to consumers. And so this is just going to allow us to manage our resources a little bit better.
Do we have any, now this is a motion item that we're deciding whether or not we're going to support or not support. So are there any questions of the board members that we want to chit chat about?
I have a motion to support.
Oh, the public has,
Now you go.
any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Diaz, where were you?
Motion to support.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Now, the other part of our packet is the second part of our job as a legislative committee, which is really just the monitoring of what's out there that impacts us. And so we've included in the packet, at the end of our section, be it what it is, 3 or 4 items which we've gone over before, watches, opposes, and supports. Real briefly, we're keeping an eye on statute relating to licensing incarcerated people. We're keeping an eye on the specific number of days that was required to push through an application. We're opposing, why are we opposing this one, Laura? We're opposing a proposal that prohibits a vocational or professional licensing board under DCA from denying a license based solely on a conviction.
That has been dismissed.
That has been dismissed. Okay, I like that. That's why we were there. And we decided to oppose it.
We decided to oppose it. We thought for consumer protection purposes, we wanted to have the most flexibility to determine what to consider in an applicant's background.
Now, this is where we were before, so we don't need a motion on it. We've already been there. And the last item relates to state of, what's that one about, Laura?
So this one contains one provision the board is sponsoring. This is a change. A few years ago, we sponsored a bill to allow our enforcement representatives, all enforcement representatives, not just those in SWIFT, to have the authority to issue a written notice to appear. So this was going to allow all enforcement representatives to have that authority. Once the bill was signed, there was some discussion with the Department of Consumer Affairs, and we weren't able to implement it the way we wanted to. So this makes a clarifying change in order to fully implement that legislation from a few years ago.
So we're still supporting, and it's still status quo. So there's no motion required. And that is the end of the legislative presentation. Any questions? Linda?
I would like to make sure that we don't let the issue regarding the unlicensed vagueness kind of go. Can that be something that we put on the legislative committee's to-do list? Because it seems like if we could get a simple thing that says unlicensed is everything except good standing, active license, right? So if we could somehow.
If as a board, if we could try to just, not to institute policy, but to just ask for clarification, so that we're not leaving it to the courts to make crazy decisions based on inconsistent or unclear laws. It would be a huge leg up to the industry as a whole, reducing litigation, keeping consumers out of court. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do and where they stand. There is so much litigation in our construction system because of ambiguities. it's unbelievable. And the courts are all over the map because of it.
Right,
So,
that arbitrariness does not do us or our industry any favors.
Or consumers. It
Or
doesn't help consumers.
So, I mean, it feels like it ought to be up there on a on a relatively high priority to,
We'll put that on the
Seek
agenda for
that.
the next committee meeting. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Starting later in the summer is when we kind of start soliciting legislative proposals amongst the staff, and we'll start discussing them, and then I think we bring them up at the, we have a legislative committee meeting in the fall. So make sure this is one we kind of try to develop a little bit further, and then we can bring it to the committee and then to the board. So,
Okay.
but I'll seek your input as we do this.
thank you very much.
That's the end of our presentation.
Thank you. All right, moving right along to agenda item H, the licensing committee report. And Betsy is standing in. Did we completely finish your, yeah, okay, sorry. Betsy Figuera will provide this item.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just highlight a few things from the report. The number of applications this year is trending up after several years of the downturn since 2008. So we are increasing the number of applications that we've received. CSLB began licensing LLCs, limited liability companies, in 2012, and as of April 30th, we've licensed 580 LLC licenses. The recertification of workers' compensation exemptions for licensees, a program began in January of 2013, where at the time of renewal, licensees who had on file an exemption for workers' compensation, they have to recertify at their renewal. So that's been going on since 2013 of January, and it seems to be going well. For the criminal background checks, we began that program in 2005, and less than 18% of all of our applicants have a conviction of some kind, and of those, only about 2% are denied licensure. And those stats are in the report. The average wait time for calls in the Licensing Information Center, which is our call center, for April, just last April of this year, was just 1.5 minutes, and the calls lasted an average of 4 minutes. In the report, pages 16 through 19 contain the weeks to pull. That's the length of time that it takes for the different units to pull the applications and documents for processing. So that's it. Any questions?
Madam Chair, Betsy, do you know, I was looking again at this LLCs section that you reported on, and it appeared that April was your highest month of receiving applications since the inception of the program, total of 95. But my question is relative to the bottleneck as I read the last paragraph of your report, where of the 1,800 applicants received, only 580 have been issued. Now, what happens to the ones that have not been approved? I mean, what's the impact? I mean, are they just not doing any business? Are they working as unlicensed contractors? That's one part of the question. And the other one was, where's the roadblock? Is the roadblock the Secretary of State, that they're not processing your request for information as fast as you would like?
It can be a variety of things that would keep, or that would slow down the process for some. A lot of times it's a corporation that's changing to an LLC, not always, but that's a common thing where a corporation will change to an LLC. So they most likely are still conducting business, they're just conducting it under their corporation until the LLC is in place. It could be Secretary of State where they have to have all of their documents in place and everything filed accurately with Secretary of State and that matches the applications that they submit with us. So it can be a variety of things, and the 1,800, let me see, so on the prior page, no, that's the.
On page 4, the last
Yeah, okay,
paragraph there.
Yeah. So a lot of them are still pending, so it doesn't mean necessarily that the application is void yet. They could be taking tests, they could be just anywhere in the process. They could be in the criminal background check. They could be in any place within the licensing process.
So, I mean, excuse me, Pastor, it means that 1,300 or almost 1,300 have not been rejected.
But
There's
they're
some
pending
portion
the
of
process.
rejected. And I
Right.
will just say, I know that you have this problem. We've seen it in other areas where people file their original paperwork with the Secretary of State. It's a little bit, so they get their name out there and they get the LLC going, right? And then come back in a later time, and they do not duplicate. They need to take the paperwork that they filed with the Secretary of State and duplicate that information. Every person that's listed, the exact name, you know what I mean? Periods and commas where they belong, because the SOS does it exactly off that application. So I can see why that would be a problem.
And some may start the process and then decide, after they've submitted their application, that they choose not to follow through with it too.
I do have a question. So, looking at page 16, looking at all these time frames, an application for original license, which includes an exam, right?
Yes.
The longest period of time is just over 3 weeks. So you can get a contractor's license in less than 30 days if you do everything correctly. Is that correct?
Well, this is the period between us receiving the application and a technician pulling the application to start the process. When we get an application in the building, it gets opened in the mailroom, it
Okay.
goes to cashiering, then it goes to our imaging system, and then, so the time between receiving it in the building and when a technician actually pulls it to start the process of evaluating the experience and the documents and everything, that's where the 3 weeks is.
Okay,
So
so
then they
people
would.
are already waiting a month before the processing begins. How long does that take then? I mean, what's the length of time if a person comes in? Because this was your question, I believe.
Okay.
We don't want people unlicensed out there. We want to make it easy for them to become licensed and get into the system, right? So is there an average?
I'm not really sure what the average is, but it can vary greatly because people need to test, and they're pretty good about getting into testing quickly these days. But they need to test, and they need to pass the test. They need to fingerprint. We need to do the fingerprint review. And then once they do pass the test, then they need to get their bonds and workers' comp. So there's things on our end and things on their end that need to continue to be processed.
If they were real aggressive and they went out and put their fingerprints in and got their bond up front and, went and took their test, what do you think? Still don't,
I think if you can put this together, if we're pulling in 3 weeks, if they're testing in 3 weeks, which you can walk in and test the next day if you want, you don't have to wait. If it takes 2 weeks to issue, after we get all the paperwork, you're talking 7, 8 weeks, but most of the time is waiting for the applicant to get the information.
I think that's absolutely true, because I've talked to people and they're like, well, I'm just waiting to take the test. And I go, waiting for what? I mean, an engraved invitation? Go take the test, right? I mean, nobody's holding you back from taking the test, right?
Yeah, just to clarify for the board, we typically schedule out 3 weeks because most candidates want 3 weeks to prepare and test, but you can walk into a test center. And right now, we have, our test centers are underutilized, so it's real easy to walk in and take your exam.
all computerized, and, I mean, it's really quick. It's a quick process. I mean, that's good, so 8 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, that
Which
would be-
seems reasonable.
Right.
Other questions, comments, members, public? Okay, before moving on to the agenda item I,
Testing division, Cindy?
oh, I'm so sorry, Cindy. Testing division.
I'll make
Cindy
it
will-
quick, Joan, okay?
Okay.
Testing division report on page 1. As Betsy indicated, the number of applications have gone up, so have the number of examinations. As far as our test center status, we did move from Oakland to Berkeley. That site is now fully operational, and it's a real nice site, and we should all go look at it one day. And the last thing is, there have been 3 new examinations released since the last board meeting, and staff is working on filling 3 vacancies. So that completes my report, Joan.
Any questions or comments?
It was well worth waiting.
All right, members, sorry for that little bleep on my part, but, you know, I just got so excited about this news flash that we got, and that's where I might have shorted you, Betsy Ferreira, on your presentation, or at least announcing your name, but thank you. You did a great job. Yes, this, fresh from the governor's office, who announced, Governor Brown announced today, the reappointment of Linda Clifford, Pastor Herrera Jr., and Eddie Lang Jr. to the Contractors State License Board. If you all would like to give them a hand. I would like to say a few things in anticipation of this very thing happening. Some notes that I prepared, just a minor few that I would like to see go on the record, but that is this. Of those 3 candidates, well, before I say anything, I want to thank the governor's office for doing this. This is pretty unprecedented, giving us this information, allowing us to announce in the middle of a board meeting 3 members. So exciting for all 3 of you, I'm sure. And also thank our board relations person, Christine Lawley, for transmitting this news as well, and the governor's staff. But I want to say something about Linda Clifford, who has come on this board with a vengeance, as you might be able to tell. But she comes with a huge background. Linda fills the Contractor A classification. She also has a B license, maybe more than one, and I think several C license classifications as well. I stand corrected. But just in this short time, you have, and because of your service and on the Uniform Construction Cost Accounting Commission, and that is, I don't know how many years you've been doing that, but you obviously bring this wealth of, I don't know, ease to the board and relating to other members. And so we're astonished by your experience and welcome you here, happy you're here. We're going to swear you in tomorrow, and we thought that might be special for all of you with the Nevada board. Linda's unique experience is that she brings the construction industry and labor to the board as well, and it's a good merger, and you're out in the forefront, and we know that you have that connection, those connections. Pastor Herrera Jr. is a public member, and he spoke of himself as being the former director of LA County Consumer Affairs Department. Is that the correct title? Okay. And working arduously with Rick, our chief of public affairs, a pastor, a former member of the board, a current member of the board, but former as well, has attended, as you know, or maybe you don't know, more Scam Stoppers, senior Scam Stoppers, I think, than any member on the board. And thirdly, Ed Lang, who fills the senior member spot. It looks anything but a senior to me. I call him Steady Eddie because Ed has really exemplified the amount of commitment and service to our board over these years since 2007. I kidded Steve about one year that he would have to find another office for Ed because Ed truly is a service person, and your commitment is just so commendable, and your work with Chief Fote, who's a 24-hour guy, so I'm sure he keeps you very busy anyway. Anyway, congratulations to all three, and if it's okay with you, we'd like to swear you in tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
With the board, all right. All right, moving, well, do any board members have any comments or any members of the public? Not at this time. We'll move on to Agenda I, the executive report, and Cindy will do the administrative update. Cindy Christensen.
Thanks. Our business services and our HR support, they kind of go unnoticed just because they kind of keep the lights on for everybody. I mean, they're there to keep our enforcement staff, licensing staff, legislative, executive, so that they can function well, and I think they just go unnoticed sometimes, so I just would like to give them a lot of kudos for the work they do. But starting off with facilities, our San Bernardino site, they're kind of sitting on top of each other right now, so we are working to expand that space. And West Covina and Norwalk, we're renewing the leases there. Contracts and procurement, you see several contracts that we're doing right now. I just want to highlight the polo shirts. For our peace officers, we've been working hard to get some of those shirts so that when they go out on their investigations, that they can be separated and they can see if they're from CSLB. Yes?
I was curious, it said it had a star logo on it. Are we gonna have pushback from anybody about that
This is
star
just for
logo?
this is just for the peace officers, and they can't have a star.
Oh, they can have a star, okay. I was just curious, thank you.
On page 2, just briefly, there is more training offered through SOLID, which is offered through Department of Consumer Affairs, and that has been extended to our Southern California staff. And we're also looking at, just want to give an update on the cars. We're going to be able to procure 2 cars this year to replace 2 of the older vehicles. But since we replaced so many last year, it's still helping. And personnel, we've had 4 transfers within CSLB, 5 transfers from other state departments, and 3 new hires. And you can see our staff vacancies, examinations that we're offering on page 3, and that's it. Question?
Yeah, I noticed that the fleet's going to be replaced with Ford Fusion hybrids. Actually, I have one, and the thing is a very good car. I've never had one little issue with it whatsoever, and I have 70,000 miles on it, so that's a good thing. And it gets great gas mileage. So, just
Well, that's
a
good
comment.
to know.
Yeah. So.
This replaces the Taurus that Nora had, so. Yeah. I was going to turn it over to Raju for the IT report.
Okay. So on page 1, Breeze is DCA's enterprise-wide licensing and enforcement system. It's being rolled out in 3 phases. Release 1 has been rolled out. Release 2 is what they're currently working on, and the department's working with the Release 2 boards and committees. There's 9 boards and committees on that list. I have the whole list of it on page 1. A couple of the boards listed: dental board, board of optometry, pharmacy board, physical therapy board, etc. CSLB is in phase 3, and we're actively just preparing for that release 3 when it comes our way. IT service desk, majority of day-to-day IT tickets are handled by IT service desk. During the period of February to April 2014, a total of 1,107 tickets were opened, 842 of them being online. We have a ticketing system that they could go on intranet and open our service requests, if you will, and 265 were done through either phone or walk-in. The next page just kind of highlights it in a diagram. Sacramento obviously being by the farthest number of tickets that we had. Next, I have the interactive voice response system. CSLB has this 24/7 interactive self-directed telephone system, which has a wealth of information. It's great information and source of information for consumers, contractors, and anybody else that calls it. It's up, again, like I said, around the clock. During the period of February to April 2014 period, a total of 121,826 calls were answered by that system, which is an average of 40,609, so just a little bit over 40,000 calls a month. It's a tremendous help for our call center as well of having such a system up. There's dozens of possible menu options within the IVR system, and the top 20 during the February to April timeline are listed on page 3. And number 1 being contractors, so who wants to become a contractor, and it was roughly right around 20,000 for every month. So that's a lot of calls we got on that. Next page is just a pictorial or a diagram of that information. And then on page 5, enterprise IT security. At CSLB, we utilize enterprise firewall and latest security technologies to secure and safeguard our systems and applications. Besides, from within the U.S., there are many foreign countries that also attempt to get unauthorized access into our systems. Till date, luckily, they have not been successful at doing that. Excuse me. In the top 10 countries that have tried to get unauthorized access into our systems are listed there, China being number 1 on the list. So, but again, because we have a very robust system and our information security is very up to date, we have not had any unauthorized access. And that's the end of my update.
Questions?
I just was wondering, is the enterprise IT security in any way going to be impacted by Breeze?
No, it shouldn't be.
So you'll be able to maintain your own security system for contractors' data then?
Well, we're not going to, we still have to get on the Breeze IT system as of now. That's what we're looking at doing. But as far as the IT security goes, to make sure we could securely access the system and there is no intrusion around it, that'll still hold, yes. It still has to go through our firewall and all of that, which we maintain.
Yeah, I was just thinking with over 100,000 email addresses, that you have and all the other personal information that you have on licensees, if it's someone else kind of taking care of the security, I would get nervous. But if you're going to take care of your own security, I feel a little, there's more comfort zone there.
Okay. Yeah, and the Breeze system does have, security built around it as well, when people access the system and all of that. As far as till date, I know it's up and running and it's been successfully running. But yeah, we'll still have our firewalls and we'll still have our security systems.
Thank you.
Other questions? Public members, or non-members, I should say? Okay, let's move to agenda item, excuse me. We're on number 4 of, oh, you're going to do the budget first? Okay, Cindy Christensen will provide our budget update.
See the budget update on page 1.
Members,
Walking.
let's move to agenda item.
Walking. 800.
Number 4 of, oh, the budget. Okay. Christensen, our budget.
800.
See the date on page.
Members, let's move to agenda item. Number 4 of, oh, the budget. Okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members, let's move to agenda item. Number 4 of, oh, the budget. Okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to item.
In any way, in any way. In any way, in any way.
Number 4, the budget,
in any way.
okay. Our budget.
See the date on page.
Let's move to item. Number 4, budget, okay, our budget.
See the date on page.
Smooth, I do.
In any way, in any way.
Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to agenda item. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of, let's move to Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of.
T6,
Let's move to.
T6, anyway. T6, anyway.
Number 4, the budget, Christensen.
Date on page. See the
Members of. Let's move number 4, the budget, Christensen.
date on date on
Members of. Let's move to.
T6, anyway. T6, anyway. T6.
Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
This,
See the date on page.
Members of.
this,
Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Let's move to. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. To. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. To. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. To. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. To. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. To. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members of. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, budget, okay, our budget.
See the date on page.
Two. Number 4, budget, okay, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. Christensen, our budget.
See the date on page.
Members. Two. Number 4, the budget, okay. All right, at this time, I'm going to call for any public comment. I'm going to read our advisory that people in the public that are here today, I did not see you here yesterday, so we have a few little ground rules. And it's in Agenda Item C, Board Members of the California Board Packet. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items on the agenda as well as items not on the agenda. However, the board cannot take any action on items not listed on our agenda. The CSLB welcomes public comment on any item on the agenda, and it is the intent of CSLB's goal to ask for public comment prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. But if for some reason we forget to ask for public comment on an agenda item, a member of the public desiring to make a comment should raise their hand and they will be recognized. And we will be limiting public comment to 5 minutes per individual. Are there any individuals that wish to address the board at this time? Yes, please come up to the dais and state your name.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Kevin Gonsalves. I'm the owner, CEO of Central Valley Well Drilling, Inc. in Winton, California. I come before the board today to address an issue of emergency declaration. So my application fee number is 2013-011-5659. I want to thank the board first and foremost of having the webcast. We watched your webcast last night as we drove here through the night to come to your board meeting. You guys have all been very professional. I want to commend you for that. As you all well know, California is suffering the largest drought on record. Our surface water curtailment in Merced began our run for the water well drilling license C-57. Our water wells have dropped and our pumps are dangling above the water level. The governor's office has declared a drought state of emergency and has ordered the agencies to streamline application process to get water to growers and people in the community. Today I'd like to request that the board address provisional licenses so that we can drill wells on our own property until the CBU, the Criminal Background Unit, completes its part. Currently, we've we've completed all of our process. We've started a corporation. We've got our bonds. We've taken care of our workman's comp exemption issue. We have an RMO with 38 years experience in well drilling. He's been licensed in Nevada, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and Missouri. So he's well versed on well drilling. It's not as though we're trying to go drill wells without professional assistance. It's costing us a significant amount of money on a daily basis to keep him on staff. And quite frankly, I'm afraid if we don't get moving soon, I'm going to lose him to another well drilling company. So I don't know if it's actually possible to have some sort of a provisional license during drought emergency declaration times. We're not asking for special treatment, but we are asking that the board address the issue of drilling wells on your own properties, not for hire, until we can go through the entire process and actually get licensed as a contractor. I do see a great opportunity to continue on with a business of well drilling, but right now I need to save our family farm. My mom's sole income is the family farm, and she's disabled. And if I lose I'm the fourth generation of family farmers, and if I lose water to our crops, we lose our everything that we work for our entire life.
Question? So
Yes.
this is for you personally, but
Yes.
also, yeah, I think you're speaking for those in the business of well drilling.
Yes.
Are those people here today?
I was the only one that I made a midnight run up here last night when I found out that I had contacted the governor's office to see what steps and processes we could go through to fast track our application process. And they told me that you all were captivated here on a board meeting. So I After my son's graduation last night, we jumped in the car and headed up here. I'm operating on about 2 hours of sleep, so I apologize if I'm not well organized.
Okay.
So yes, I'm trying to speak for the industry in and of itself. To answer that question for you, I'm not going to give you names, but there are people right now that are being forced to drill wells illegally. Okay? They're running at night, and I don't plan on doing that, but I'm asking you to address the issues so that we don't have to become criminals. We don't want to operate without a contractor state license. We understand the process. We've got everything lined up. The only thing that we're missing, you want to add something?
Our surface water is going to run out in July.
I'm sorry?
Yes, our surface water is going to be running out in July, and we're solely dependent on surface water right now, which is why we need to drill our own well.
Okay.
And it's going to take a good 3 weeks to a month to get a well drilled. So that's why we're here.
So we appreciate the urgency and the sincerity. It's obvious you two have traveled a great distance to get here. And I'm going to, our registrar, Steve Sienz, he's going to address this issue right now.
On a global scale, we'll go ahead and expedite every well drilling application we get. We don't get that many, so it'll be pretty easy to identify those and expedite them. We don't have the legal authority to waive any of the requirements, but in your particular case, I'd like you to go talk to Betsy Figuera, our licensing manager, and she'll deal with your specific case and find out where you're at and what we can do to expedite that. I think that's all we can do and should do.
We did send in a letter to expedite. They've been very quick in most of the process, which we appreciate. Our driller's already passed his exam, so we're being hung up by the criminal background unit.
We can go, well, Betsy can go check and find out where it's at. Again, we can't issue the license till it's cleared, but we can definitely find out where it is and expedite it in the processing.
Well, that was our request, is to possibly, if we're dependent on the FBI and DOJ, they don't care about us. And we'd like to see if it would be possible to get some type of provisional license or something to be able to operate on our own property.
Unfortunately, there's nothing in the law that would allow us to do that. All we can do is look at your individual case and do whatever we can legally to help you. Again, Betsy will talk to you and get your information, and she'll get back to you Monday. Okay. So if you get the opportunity, go ahead and see Betsy right now, and she'll get all your information.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for coming.
And guys, for what it's worth, you're not the first that have done this, and the CSLB staff does a great job in emergency situations. They're wonderful, and so you're in good hands.
Anyone else from the public wishing to address the board? Thank you. Please step up, state your name.
Just push the button. Thank you. Gabriel Alley, RMO, Alley Heating and Air Conditioning. Good morning, members of the board and staff. I have been a licensed contractor for the last half dozen years and have chosen this as my profession. I am NATE certified, North American Technician Excellence, BPI, Building Performance Institute, Building Analyst certified. I've been working in HVAC since before I could get a driver's license. I would like it to be known that I already have an appointment with Mr. Lang, which I am very appreciative of, and so I'm not asking for any action or motion today, just to make a comment on the record. So I'm here before you today, really not so much obviously to go over specific cases relating to my business, as I know that's not appropriate to go over at a board meeting, but here really in protection of not only my own company, my family, my employees, their families, but really of all residential heating and air conditioning service and replacement contractors. In the past, I've had the pleasure to work with the board's CSRs and even investigators to the resolution of complaints, consumer complaints that have been filed and come up in the process of servicing approximately 5,000 customers a year. I feel, obviously it's a natural part of the job that these are going to come up. So But as of recently, things have changed a little bit, it would seem, possibly in the process. I am aware that Gary Almond of BEB was present for the last board meeting, and he led a discussion on predatory service and repair contractors, and I understand the concern there. I do feel that that maybe some of CSLB's investigators have been a little overzealous on this subject, possibly because of that discussion or maybe not. The actions taken as of lately I have not seen previously as a contractor. As I said before, it's always been towards the resolution, and this has been, with the help of CSLB, this has usually been achievable. Something that seems to be a topic of focus is furnace replacements and heat exchangers, and BEB has listed this or predatory service and repair contractors as their #1 concern. So obviously this is a subject of priority. So let me give you an example of what I've seen, not just for my company, but actually what I've been reading in the news and what I've been seeing for actions taken on other companies as well. An example of what seems to be occurring is you have contractor A, right? And contractor A has a technician go out, and that technician goes out, and it's either a routine service or it's a diagnostic for a non-working furnace, and he gets out there, and part of a service technician's job should be, especially with gas furnaces, not so much with, say, air conditioners, heat pumps, etc., but with any sort of combustion, is to ensure the safety of the furnace. So say this first contractor comes out, and the technician finds, say, a breach in the heat exchanger, a cracked heat exchanger, as you would call it. Now, Mr. Homeowner gets a second opinion, which happens quite frequently. This is absolutely normal. Absolutely, I would do the same thing if I was a homeowner and someone told me, okay, my furnace either needs to be replaced or the heat exchanger needs to be replaced if possible. So contractor B comes out, or his technician. Remember, contractor B is a competitor of contractor A. So contractor B's technician comes out. You have to understand that 90% of the heat exchanger is not accessible without removing components, cutting an access plate, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not necessarily that a breach in a heat exchanger will be obvious and just pop out at one if it's there. So say the second technician does not find a crack in the heat exchanger. The homeowner is relieved, and at the same time probably upset at the first contractor. But what of the methods used by the second technician? And in some cases, I know specifically in our company's case, I'm not familiar with the complaints on other contractors, though I know they exist and actions have been taken on these. But in our case, with no expert witness out, merely a competitor, and industry standard tests such as a tracer gas test, an oil test, et cetera, well-known rigorous tests to ascertain the integrity of a heat exchanger were not taken. Merely a visual, and at that, most likely less of a visual than the first contractor taken. And then,
I'm going to interrupt you at this time. We do limit our public comment to 5 minutes, and I want to thank you for briefing us via our board packet. I think we have somewhere around 20 pages or so.
It was very
a letter,
thorough, yes.
Pictures, and a lot of information from you. And I want you to know that we have 5 contractors sitting here on this board, and labor representatives and certain folks in the industry that have been in the heating and air, mechanical, wet and dry field for their entire lives. So the information you're giving us now, I don't think it really adds to what we have in the board packet. I know you're meeting with Chief Fote and Chair Lang on the 11th of this month, so
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up in the next couple of sentences so we can move on with the rest of our agenda for the day.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, mostly I wanted it to go on record. I know that it does get recorded. I have been watching the meetings. So the last statement that I would like to make is that understanding that some of you have been HVAC contractors before. I know, Mr. Diaz, you made a comment at the enforcement committee meeting. And I think this is just a good example of why there needs to be more education, why there needs to be more evidence checked into, and it was about heat exchangers popping when they are cracked. And unless there is a huge generational difference in furnaces that we worked on, then I think you will find that that statement's not necessarily reliably accurate. And unfortunately, and this is not, I'm sure this is not putting me in your good graces, so I don't know this is the smartest thing to say. But unfortunately, it's such statements right now that plague our industry, and not so much from you, but from other technicians that go out and say, this is all okay. And there is the liability of those customers, and some of which I know right now, and have confidence that actually are running unsafe furnaces due to a statement made from another technician, but reaffirmed by CSLB's actions to prosecute the first service technician. So, and if that could be proved, there might be some liability in that. So, okay, well, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming here today. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time? Sure, please come ahead.
The red light's on? Okay. Hi. So I came down here from Sacramento.
Could you state your name, please?
My name's Tony Alley. I'm his father. Okay. One of the things I've noticed throughout the years, it seems like things have changed a little bit. I came down here basically because this is very important for our families and the employees that work there. The 9 licensed contractors and the contractors willing to do work without a permit, according to the statistics I've seen, compared to the units being picked up and that being compared to the number of permits being pulled, there's a huge discrepancy there. And last figure I heard, it was about 94%. A lot of units being picked up, air conditioners being picked up. So basically, contractors willing, unlicensed contractors or contractors willing to do work without a permit are getting most of the work. Us contractors that do pull permits are not. And one of the things is there seems to be a big price issue. I know that we're not supposed to get into pricing here, but there's a general, there must be some kind of disagreement with the higher prices that do need to be charged when you do get a permit. And there's many hurdles more than there used to be to doing a permitted job. And those hurdles are going to get higher on July 1st. There's going to be more requirements of us. And one of the things is by the low price leaders, and I know I used to be a low price leader too. I remember when I took my exam for CSLB, they were trying to educate me on the cost of doing business. And I was like, yeah. Well, my third year, I lost $80,000, thought I was getting rich. I know how it feels to do that kind of accounting in your head, you know. Hey, you're making a lot of money. You're not. But one of the things that we run into, and I believe the investigators, because they're really good guys, they want to help the public out. So what they do is when a price issue comes up, they tend to agree with the customers. Obviously, there's a lot of agreement there's something wrong with the prices that we charge because so many people the majority are doing work without a permit even. And they may not even understand the value of getting a permit. They don't. I know CEC has worked hard to put these measures in because they are valuable. It's being sold that, hey, he's just putting another furnace in, this furnace goes out, that furnace goes in. But actually, quality work.
Sir, may I ask you a question, please?
Yeah.
Didn't your son just go over that information? We're going to meet with you next week.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go more towards the pricing issue and why I think that they're winning, why I think that so many jobs are going in the other direction and so many jobs are being done without a permit. And in general, I think that there's a general agreement that pricing is very, very important. I mean, no one wants to pay for something more expensive than the value received. And CEC has put these regulations in because somehow or another, contractors in general don't understand the value of a good job. If they don't understand it, they're not going to sell it to the homeowners. The homeowners aren't being explained, why are you paying so much more? And it is more expensive to do it. But the value, which I don't have time in 5 minutes to educate you, usually we have to sit down with a homeowner and explain to them, this is what you're getting, this is why it's important. But I think in general that the investigators also don't understand that either. And so when a price issue comes up, they're usually, you know, they're good guys. They want to help these homeowners out. Of course. They don't also understand it. And we run into pricing issues. They think we're gouging the customers. And I get hit especially hard because of the level of service our company gives. A general contractor, for instance, who does new construction may not have a concept of what it costs to be a fast service company. You know, when you call me up in the afternoon, you need service, we're there. That's not a cheap company to run. And that's the way we've done it. Our warranties, there's been some issue come up, why are you putting in these furnaces so fast? We put the furnace in as fast. That's true. It's for the care of the homeowner. Our warranties are done the same day too. That's the level of service we give. And the low price leaders, because I know I used to be it, I used to think those guys charging higher prices were just greedy. I didn't understand. That's when I lost the $80,000. Doing that accounting, which I was told not to do when I was taking my exam. I was like, you know, you got to understand, how many complaints do we have coming into the board about jobs that got done by a low price leader and now the customer, the contractor's not around to follow up? I get them all the time in my company. In fact, jobs we went and we bid on, low price leader gets the job, they call us a year later, well, he's not around, can you please come out and fix this? The house gets half built.
Mr. Allen, I'm sorry, but you've exceeded the time that we have given you. And from what we've heard, I don't think you're adding to the information that we have before us or the information that you're going to share with Chair Lang and Chief Fote. So I'm going to ask you to bring it to a close now.
Yeah. Well, one solution to this is that, to sum it up, would be that, you know, possibly the investigators are going to do what they're going to do, and I believe they get real aggressive because they want to help these homeowners out. I think they're basically good guys. They have the same education that I had. It took me $80,000 to learn my lesson, but possibly if we can educate them that they may actually be working for non-licensed contractors unknowingly. If the non-licensed contractor goes to, I know that's going to ruffle a few feathers, but if the non-licensed, I think they do it unknowingly. I think if the non-licensed contractors gets the homeowner stirred up, then the homeowner goes to the investigator goes, oh, I feel sorry for you, yes, I'll help you get that bad guy. I think there may be some of that going on. I could be wrong, but maybe some of that's going on. And so just if the investigators had more understanding, I don't know how to do that. It took me $80,000 a year. I was a slow learner. But maybe if there's a way to educate investigators so that they don't get so upset about the price issue and then like go on the attack all of a sudden, maybe we can resolve these things with a little bit less, more understanding would be really good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Real quick, while you're up there, what's your point?
What's my point?
Yeah, I was trying to listen to you, but I don't get the whole pricing thing and all that with this. I mean, you're right, 94% of the furnaces in California on the residential side do not get permits pulled. Okay, you're not going to, I mean, by the investigators doing what they're doing, it's not going to drive it to 100. It's going to go the other way. They have to investigate it. It's the job. Dave Fote has said it's one of the #1 priorities of this board on the enforcement side. That's what we're doing. Okay.
Exactly. There's nothing. There's absolutely. They should do their jobs. That's not my point. So I failed to make my point. Then I'm sorry.
anyone else from the public wishing to make a comment at this time? All right. Okay, yesterday we got some good news from the governor's office about the reappointment of 3 of our members, and I'm going to ask Linda Clifford, Pastor Herrera Jr., and Ed Lang to come forward as we have an intent to swear you in today. So, 3 at once is a yeah, we're doing a 3-fer. Doing more for less, right? Okay. So as I read the oath, I'm going to read one oath and then ask you to state your name from right to left. And here we go.
Give her hand up.
Good morning. So this is an oath for the office of board member for the Contractors State License Board for the state of California. So I,
Ed Lang.
Linda Clifford.
Pastor Herrera.
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California. You have to repeat, okay, I'll start. Yeah, can we take this from the top? All
Do
right,
you want us to repeat with you? Or?
we're going to start all over.
Okay.
I
I, Ed Lang.
Linda Clifford.
Pastor Herrera.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
And the
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
Against
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
To the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
And
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
Without
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
That I will
well
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank
Ed
you.
Lang, Linda
Thank you,
Clifford,
Jim.
Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's that.
Where's Ruby when you need her?
Okay. I know. Good point.
All right, now we will move to agenda item C, and this is our discussion with the Nevada State Contractors Board, and we will turn this over to Margie Green. Sorry, Margie.
Good morning. Were we going to do our IT website presentation first, Rick? Is that what-
Everyone's got a copy. If we do that, we should probably move.
Yeah, they're gonna get blinded if they don't move.
I'd like to ask Nancy Mathias to come up and give an overview of our new web or mobile application.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a screenshot of our new mobile application. I think we were working on that last time we met. We launched the application earlier this year. It's for both mobile phone and tablet devices. And what we were trying to accomplish was to provide a quick and easy way for both consumers and contractors to look up license information, to find out if the license is active, what their classification is, how to contact them, general information. It also provides information concerning both pending and adjudicated discipline against a licensee, so a consumer can have that information and make a good informed decision as to whether or not they want to hire the contractor. The other feature we added to the mobile app was a means by which individuals can report unlicensed contracting activity. And we think this will be a really valuable tool that contractors can use in the field as they see individuals working without licenses. They can report to us the project location, the type of work that's being performed, information about the suspect, what they look like, type of vehicle they're driving. And that information helps us to track that individual down and then move forward with an unlicensed contracting case as well. That feature, we're receiving only about 2 or 3 complaints being reported online per week right now. We have not done an extensive media campaign with that, and so as we promote our application, we hope that this will be used extensively by those in the industry, and really look forward to seeing the results from that as well.
That's awesome.
So.
That's very cool.
You can, yes. It was a really fun project.
It's like we're going to license it now.
There's a direct download from our own website, which Rick has here. If you bring that up, you can download it to your iPhone or Android device. And that's nscb.nv.gov. Currently it is. We hope to expand on the capabilities in this coming year, maybe expand some of the features with reporting unlicensed contracting. The licensee search capability is pretty extensive, and we're pretty happy with that as well. As we move forward, we'd like to add some other online services to the application, but we don't see those being released this year. They may be released in 2015, depending on the development.
Yeah, one question. Do you share that with other agencies where they can be like a partner with you? If they're out in the field, that they can report some of the same things?
Some other services to the application, but we see released. They may be released in 2015, depending on the
yeah, other is where they like a partner with you. You're out in the field, they can report some of the
other services to application, but we see released. They may be released in 2015, depending on the
yeah. Other is where they
This is our
like a partner.
This is our this is our
out in the field.
This is our
Can report.
This is our
some of the
this is our
some other
this is our
services.
This is our
application.
This is our
but we
this is our this is our
released. They may be released in 2015, depending on the
yeah. Other is where they like a partner. You out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we released. They may be released in 2015, depending on the
yeah. Other is where they like a partner. You out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report some of the
some other services application, but we release, they may released into 15 to the
yeah, other is where they, like a you out in the field, they can report
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your patience. I guess it's one of the lessons to learn here is we are slaves of technology and electricity and internet access. So maybe that's a good lesson for us as we move forward, that things don't always work the way we want or hope. What we're going to do is just give you a brief look. This is the current CSLB website. Again, I'll go back in just a moment to our current mobile site. We'll kind of explain the very brief difference and why we're very excited about the launch that we hope to do in the next few weeks, is because it's going to marry the two things. So we're not going to have to maintain two separate websites. So this is just a brief overview. We're really not going to go into any detail unless somebody has a specific question. I'd be happy to show them a feature that we have. But this is our main home page. And the new design, it has a new look and feel standards, as well as making everything on our site completely mobile capable. Right now, as I started to show earlier, if you go to our website with a mobile device, you will automatically get switched over to this site, which is optimal for your phones. And you can see the options we have here. You can check a license, get our office locations, you can sign up for email alerts, report the unlicensed activity. We explain how to file a complaint, and then we have links to all of our social media, and that's it. I mean, you can go to our regular website, but everything is squeezed down. It really is not optimal, very difficult to look at. So what we'll do is we'll just give you a little brief look behind the scenes of the development of the new site. Part of the problem we were having getting set up here is we're accessing CSLB servers, and the access we were getting in this room wasn't great. So, but we're set now, and so hopefully everything is going to work. I'm sure it won't, but hopefully it will. And so this is kind of a look at what our new website is going to be looking like. And then what we'll do is we'll show you some main things, and then we'll show you how it would also look if you're on a mobile phone, and I'd be able to kind of show that to you. So one of the big challenges, and I'm sure our friends from Nevada face the same thing, is we have so many different stakeholders. The most important thing we feel is when somebody comes to our website, the first thing they need to do is kind of identify who they are, because that kind of gives them a sense of direction on where they want to go. So across the top, the main people that come here are obviously our consumers and contractors, and when you hover over those, you're able to go to a bunch of the different features we have and ways you can kind of get to where you're going. We've also, on our welcome thing, is we also make links here, because one of the drawbacks of our state template is we only have so many icon or sections we can have across the top. So we've added some more here because we weren't able to put in building officials or things about public works. So we kind of are giving them a guide, and one of the first things, self-identify yourself and then move on. One of the other features, by far the most popular feature we have on our website, is our license lookup feature. Raji, what do you say? What percentage of people come here? That's what they're coming here for. It's a huge number.
The license check?
Yeah.
A huge amount, thousands and thousands. And we'll show you some statistics in a minute about all of that.
Yeah, so we've, in our current website, it's one click. We've got an icon right high on the front page. You click on that, you go right to the license lookup. We're even taking that one step away. You can see here on the right side the instant license check. We're going to be able to search for license information right off the home page.
And just in one click.
Right, and so we have an example one here that you can see. This is not an actual license, but it gives you an idea of what the results are going to look like when you do look it up. And then I'll show you the process, how it will look for people on mobile phones.
The other thing, the new feature is the sections are broken by section now, so it's a little bit easier to read compared to before. And some initial feedback we've gotten from a lot of people from licensing division themselves, they really like that they could break, it's broken up. Yeah.
And one of the things you see here on the bottom right corner is it's worked into, so as you start scrolling down the page, this little back to top icon pops up. So instead of having to go over here and go back up or do something, you just hit this one button and it takes you right back up to the top of the page.
And then the other thing, if you go back down, Rick?
Yeah.
So when you're scrolling down, sometimes you want to get back to let's say you want to go to online service or something else, and it's hard to see, but right up on top, it's sticking all those top 5 main categories up here. So we could get to any of these right off the bat as well without having to scroll back up. It's kind of a unique feature we have. A lot of the websites do not have something like this. So.
And then also, do you want to talk about language?
Yeah, so the other feature we wanted to really take advantage of is we understand there are plenty of people, especially in California and Nevada, that live here, and that maybe English may not be their native language, or they want to see a website, in a different language. So we've used Google Translator feature in here, and so just to kind of give you all the different languages that it has. For example, let me just show you Spanish really quick, and instantly you just click on that once, and all of this is in Spanish now.
Now, it's not a perfect translation, but it's...
Ask a question about that?
Sure. Yes.
If the person's mobile device has Spanish enabled as the primary language on it, wouldn't you be able to link it so it automatically switches to Spanish, Chinese?
Yeah, if they have it by default as Spanish, I'm thinking it probably will just select the Spanish automatically for them.
Should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
program.
And then see if you, on top, it gives you the option to get back to the original. It says translating. It's kind of hard to see.
Oh, yeah, it did, yeah. So you're
the
able
Google
to...
Translator
yeah,
right
I did.
there.
I went back to the original. There's a button here that said
and then
original,
you could say
and it
original.
goes right back.
And let's show them the Chinese really quick. I think it's fun. It looks quite different, let's just say that.
Simplified or traditional?
Yeah, either.
Yeah, we want the hard one.
And hit translate because of the way
Oh,
you did
thank you,
it.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I don't get any of this, but we just wanted to show
But
you.
see the pamphlets,
It's the same either way, that's good.
Yeah, some of the words, they've kept it, you
Yeah,
know.
and like I said, it's not a perfect translation, but it's certainly going to give them a good
It's pretty
idea
close,
of
though.
of
It's
what's
pretty
there.
close, and it's done instantly, so.
I wanted to go ahead and show you how this process would look if you're doing it from a mobile phone. So what we'll do is we'll shrink the screen down, and this happens automatically. It takes all the different parts, and we can program in how we want it to display in a mobile site. So you see, if you're on a phone, you're doing the instant license check. Actually, this is the home page itself. This is how the home page would look on a mobile site. So it's got all the same information.
Still has all the features.
And everything you can do. And here's the instant license check. And if we're going to go ahead and do that.
Yep, I still showed you all this stuff.
It all formats correctly automatically.
It formats really well. It's what we call a fluid design. So what it does, it adjusts to the size of your smartphone or tablet. If this was a tablet,
The current window.
yeah.
And you can see as I can move it out, and you can see how.
And you could still do the back to top.
Things
If it was
change.
a tablet, this is what it would kind of look like depending on what you have.
That is nice.
Yeah, so like on an iPad, it'll look actually like a regular website with everything on it still.
So that's not an app, that's the website.
That's a
It's the
website
website
just
itself.
automatically
we don't need
adjusting to the
We
type
don't need no stinking app.
to the actual technology that you're using. So because there's so many facets of tablets and smartphones out there, so we wanted to make sure this was what we call a responsive design. So
Okay.
plus we're only having to maintain one website now, and our mobile site had very limited features, so those limitations go away now.
Do you want to show the?
Yeah, I want to show. We also wanted to take advantage of some of the Facebook and social media and all of that features. So if you
Go to the media room, or where do
let me show you really quick on over here. One of the things we're also taking advantage of is this is what we call an RSS feed, which stands for Rich Site Summary Page. And other websites could subscribe to us now and get our latest update or our latest content as long as they're subscribed to our RSS feeds. And what happens is they wouldn't have to visit our website over and over to see what's changing. They'll automatically get the information. So, for example, once you all the information that you saw in the front, and this is one of the I think the newsletter or press release that we had. The other thing is as users look at these information, they could instantly do a Facebook like or a Twitter, which will instantly go right on top of the Twitter page or the Facebook page.
Can I ask a quick question? So when you say RSS feeds, is that like the, I think we were kind of trying to just let me clarify, is that like the news line? So like
Just like, it is exactly like the news line.
and I can get that info by going on it?
Exactly. So people wouldn't have to go visit our website constantly. They could actually just subscribe to our RSS feed. They get the latest information, latest update right away within a millisecond.
And one of the other things we'll look to
Yeah.
do is
That's one of the latest
people, let's say that you're a
technology
builders
we're using.
exchange or an industry group and wanted to put our information on your website. You could use that code information, and anytime we update our website, your website, if you put that in there, would automatically be updated as well. And we would control all that content.
And then we're breaking up also the RSS feeds into 4 different categories. You could do all, so you get all sorts of updates, or if there's just a specific ones that you want, then there's a category that you could also subscribe from. So an end user could do it. The other thing is any other websites that want to partnership with us and have our news feed go to them, as long as they're subscribing to those feeds, they'll get all those updates on their website immediately as well. So. And then the instant Facebook like and Twitter I think is great because that will kind of put us on top if there is some breaking news, and it will automatically get tweeted for them. Archive press releases, all of that, we broke it down by year here. Another really cool feature is like if this was a tablet, for example, under online services, these would be just simply buttons that you would just click on, double tap on, it's a very touchscreen responsive. And these are kind of the major things a lot of our customers come out here for, contractors come out here for.
When's this going to be live online?
We're just finishing up the final copy and things, hopefully in the next few weeks. Soon we don't have any more fires or things that we need to run off to, we'll be able to devote some time and get this thing finished.
So we've had a lot of testers that we've had within our CSLB offices from different offices, the testing division, licensing, the information technology division, public affairs, etc. So there's a group of people that have been all testing this out, and so far we've had really, really good responses, and they really like how easy it is. They feel, especially the call center manager, Nicole was saying that it's just going to make it so much easier for her to have her staff walk others that call on the phone to look up certain information.
Yeah.
So
okay, this is the media page right now. So some of the nice things here is we actually not only have the licensing, but you can actually see, you can actually follow our latest Twitter hits and Facebook activity there as well.
Yeah.
We're able to embed our videos, and the nice thing about that is it's just a very nice new clean look, as opposed to old days when it's just kind of embedded playing there. It pulls it up, and it's so it just takes advantage of the technology is changing every day, but it just is taking advantage of all the current technology and things that really make it look very even more professional.
And then you could, like, if we're on a tablet or smartphone, we're used to swiping, so that's what you would do. You could just literally swipe like this. As we get more videos up here, you could swipe and move back and forth. The other thing that I'm really excited about is we're making use of a new video player, so when these pop up, it's not just taking you back to the YouTube page and kind of takes them away from our site. Because before you would watch it and then would give you related stuff on YouTube. So a lot of people would leave our site. Now they wouldn't, because it is, in a way, it's kind of like embedding it, if you will. So our website still is in the back end. When someone closes it, we're still on our website. So we're keeping that traffic on our website, which is what we want to do. So I think
it's still on YouTube.
yes,
Exactly.
the bandwidth is on YouTube, which is the way we like it. So we're taking advantage of them, but it's still keeping our website here. And one of the major reasons we also wanted to go to this type of model is, as you could see, the mobile device users, it's constantly growing. You could see close to 165,000 roughly just last month. So the number of mobile users we feel is going to constantly grow. From the desktop user to the mobile. So that's why a lot of the features we have, touchscreen friendly, user friendly, not too busy, but just enough so that you could get the information. So again, being designed for a mobile environment.
Our analytics show us about a third of our visitors right now are coming to us from mobile sites.
Yep.
For mobile devices, rather.
Another thing we also took advantage of is some of the statistics that we thought, are some things that we could showcase, some of the things that are going on at CSLB.
Yeah, as a government agency, we've got lots of figures and stats. We're looking for places all around the website in different areas to kind of display some of that material that kind of might be of interest to people on that page.
Yeah.
So
This might be too much to ask. I was just thinking of the video.
Yes, it is.
Video. The videos here, I mean, if you have it in the Spanish mode, will it give you the videos subtitled in Spanish?
I think it depends on YouTube, I haven't tried it.
I don't think that would be something automatic. We can look into it. I don't know that it would, but
I know there's some closed captioning on YouTube that they have, and some of them I believe they do have in Spanish. I'm not sure they've officially converted ours over or not, because we are taking advantage of YouTube, like Bob said. So we're not, it is going on YouTube itself. So as long as YouTube has that feature, then the answer would be yes.
Now what is the feel? I see on the top bar you have those categories, but you don't have contact us until the bottom. Why is that? Is there just a general feel that maybe you don't want people to contact you, or what is it? See, it's down at the bottom at the right. Yeah.
That's typically where most of the websites kind of put them, but under About Us, we also have the Contact Us as well. So, and we're also
make a point. The point is that they're at your website. You want them to be able to not contact.
I know, but it just
Get
makes
the
it
information
friendlier to the person going on that say, I'm trying to find where I can contact
The
them.
problem is that they'll just call. They'll bypass the website.
I understand. I understand that.
and we're also
I would just say it's standard to have the contact us at that slot. So when
Down at the
people
bottom.
look at when they look at a website, if they want to go past whatever there and do a contact, they would look first there because that's the normal location on the internet
They can get a
for
lot quicker
contact us.
service if they find it on the website.
Right,
So they have to scroll by
and
and
you're
go,
making
oh,
it
there
real
it is.
easy for them to do that.
They go, oh, there it is. I don't
Yeah.
need to stand in the queue and wait.
Right, right.
So
And
we-
I think the contact us is actually in a very standard position for the internet, so it's actually easier, no.
Bottom.
On the
bottom,
bottom.
yeah, that's
It's
where the
easier.
laptops have
Like,
it.
just pull any of your deals, and it'll say contact us.
Right.
Because they are sending you a message. Look at all this stuff first, and then contact us. And we can find
It's
you.
really in two places here, though. It says about
Us,
about us.
but
We can
it's
get it
there too, right?
Yeah, and then the other thing just to just keep in mind is we are utilizing like our governor's website itself. This is the template that they use. This is the state standard, the latest standard. So we're meeting, his standards of the state government as well. There's actually a lot of different thousands of templates we could have used, but this is fulfilling, the needs of the state government as well. So we had to keep that in mind.
Well, I'd just like to say, I commend both groups, just the apps with
Yeah.
the contract board and what you're doing.
You hit your microphone, please.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Because as a building department, the one comment we've been getting and I would just say it's kind of like the last 3 months or so, is that I don't want to go to your website, I want an app. Do you have an app? They want it for their tablet and their mobile device, and then they always tell us they want in that top third, they want to be able to just one click. It's the one click, and how fast can I get that?
Okay.
And this is just really, this is awesome, and this is a lot of work for both the app and also just awesome work.
Thank you.
I have one question. I know he's probably there, but I didn't see it. Speaking for the seniors, that want to know when a person comes to the door and they show them, hey, this is my contractor's license, I'm ready to fix your driveway. And then he says, check it out. They have a current contractor's license, but it says lawn repair or something, roofing. Will that show up readily if it says, I'm looking for roofing?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he has a concrete?
It does,
license?
yeah, because it tells you what kind of license.
Where's that shown
the
quickly?
The classifications. It tells them what they're licensed to do, and then you could click on that.
Then if you
Exactly.
click there, yeah, it'll.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sorry,
the page is not there
yet. We're still in a dev environment, so we don't.
So once they pull up that contractor's number, then you can look down further and see.
You can scroll down, that's where you get
That's
the
good.
workers' comp information, their
Yeah.
bond information, the personnel.
But as seniors, they're not concerned with that. They just want to know, are you prepared to fix my roof rather than my concrete?
Absolutely, and if they're not sure, like
Okay.
if they see here, they're not sure what lathing and plastering is, they
click
can
on
click on that, and then the page would come up and give the definition of what that is.
I got you.
Correct.
That's good. Thank
And
you.
it also show any complaint disclosure information and all that good stuff as well.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent work. Excellent. I like it.
Thank you. And the one other last feature I'll just show really quick is under About Us. We also are making use of a Google Calendar. Where are we at? Sorry. I'm going to go here really quick. So, yeah, so for example, we're having our board meeting here. Anybody wanted to just get to the packet information, they could get that and see where we are and what's going on next, senior scam stoppers, et cetera. So just to keep, the public and anybody else well informed of what's going on. And this will all be maintained by a Google Calendar that we update, and it'll automatically sync to this immediately. So.
Does that have the capability, if they click that and they're linked to Google, it'll show
Go
up
on
on
their
their Google
calendar.
calendar?
So what happens here right now, let me show you something here.
It'll just put it right on their calendar.
So one is the meeting packet, like is what we have set it up to show you, and may take a minute.
You have Outlook with the calendar added.
I think you could probably get your Google to say add to that once it opens up. Yeah, I believe so.
I know you're not live, and it's not, all your links aren't
Right.
live, but.
Yeah, because when you do link to event.
Yeah, when it says link to event, I think that's what that means. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you could then save it, yeah,
Save
to
it.
your calendar,
Right.
and then you would do that also, again, meeting packets and any other information. Also, if someone wanted to see where we are, there's a map feature as well, so we're taking full advantage of Google as well. So, yeah, so this is where we're at.
Very professional.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
In '06, when I first got here, compare the website to that.
Yeah, we thought about putting the tape measure back in, but we didn't find a way to work it in.
Wow, that's great.
Great, so I don't know if there's.
I think you guys are commended for that. That's a beautiful layout, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can we go ahead to the sting now?
Yeah, you want us to move on to that stuff? Thanks, Roger.
Sure. Go ahead and pop the video up, and that'd be a good start. The video you're going to see should be a joint sting operation that California and Nevada did April 30th within the South Lake Tahoe area. There's no dramatic footage or anything like that. No, nobody wrestled to the ground, no shots fired. We're good? Oh. We do this as our third annual sting operation with California. It works well between our two agencies when we get to see the other methods and the enforcement tactics that both agencies are using. We set it up where there was a house in State Line, Nevada, and one house in South Lake Tahoe. We exchange investigators, one to watch the sting operation in both states. We were successful, I believe, 11 on the California side, citations. We got 8 on the Nevada side. Notably on the Nevada side, we got 3 California contractors that were bidding over there. And we did get 1 sexual offender that stepped into Nevada and bid on a project. So it's always unique what we get out of these sting operations on who shows up. A lot of them are just folks trying to pay the bills, and a lot of them are career criminals that cannot get jobs, and that's the reason they're advertising on Craigslist. They're not putting anything down as far as any stability. And like I say, it really enforces the fact to use licensed contractors. The footage we showed in the releases that we did on our press releases were really poignant in the fact of what you get when you go to these sting operations. Now, Dave, you want to add anything related to your folks? You certainly can on the operation.
Yeah, just one of the underlying focuses is to address the illegal Craigslist ads. In California, the DAs have been very vocal about wanting to do more to encourage Craigslist to verify license, or at least include information where the public can verify the license. And for both of these sting operations, we had a focus on the illegal advertisements. I believe in Nevada, as Dan mentioned, they went 8 for 8, including advertising violations. Out of the 11 notices to appear issued in California, 9 included advertising violations. We did have, as Dan mentioned, 3 California licensees that bid in Nevada. One of them is a plumbing contractor that bid a $6,000 paint job. So that was kind of interesting. And what they do. At such time as those 3 California licensees are convicted of the misdemeanor, we will have the ability to issue citations in California on those licenses for that conviction. And I would just summarize by mentioning, I spoke to our lead investigator, excuse me, Jeff Miller, and I said, what can you tell me about the joint operation? He's been in all 3 of them, and he said just one word: awesome. Just loves working with his Nevada counterparts to learn best practices and to share information on our offenders that are crossing state lines.
And again, I'd like to thank the California Board, Chairman Ed Lang, and your folks for allowing the participation for your enforcement individuals. It's always been a beneficial project for us. We work consistently with your agency at a staff level, including travelers, roofers, asphalt pavers. It's consistent. You just learn how porous that border is, that what problems you have here, we have in Nevada, and it's consistent back and forth. And the cooperation with your enforcement folks and the Chief of Enforcement, Dave, and everybody is just extraordinary. We work really well together. If we've got a problem, we can call Dave and say, look, are you seeing this over here? And usually if he hasn't, he will in a week. If he sees it in his jurisdiction, we'll see it within a week in ours. It's just amazing how this goes. And if one agency ramps up their enforcement, you'll see them starting to move. And they start to migrate to other areas where they're not onto their methods or not onto their modus operandi. So we're working together. It's very complimentary of your agency, and like I say, I can't say enough about your staff and the support we get from them. We do have some joint training operations. I was going to mention that NASCO training coming up in August, where we're going to put a few investigators together down there. And that's always good to get our line people together where they can discuss techniques or investigative things that have been aids to them that can probably work in the other states also. And it's a good exchange. We anticipate that in August 17th through 21st, I believe. But it's another excellent program where we can exchange with the basic investigators. And if you have any questions, certainly myself or Dave would be amenable to answering them.
That's a good presentation.
Thank you.
Just briefly, this was the operation that we had this week in San Marcos, just near San Diego in the fire area. I know it's one of the things that is very different between the way we conduct stings in California compared to how they're conducted in Nevada. And it's been one of the eye-openers I've had. I've been on a couple of the border blitzes that we've done. Actually, this sting was very unusual in the way it was conducted. We probably, at any given time, we had somewhere between 5 and 15 backup enforcement officers. Normally when we conduct our sting operations, the people are usually processed right there in the sting house, usually in the garage or a bedroom or some room. So the backup is there with us. In this situation up in San Marcos, it was different because the person would come and give the bid. We would send them on their way not knowing, and they would not know at that point that they had just been in a sting operation. The San Diego County Sheriff's Office were partially down the hill, and so we had backups from the district attorney's office. Their investigators would radio a black and white unit. The black and white unit would pull the car over about a half-mile away. So at that point, they still have no idea. Get out of the car, they get handcuffed, and then taken to a processing spot another half-mile away, which is where I was. And you'll see a little bit of the video here. Some of the things here, we're not listening to the audio, but this is actually, this is the guy who gave us who had the drugs and gave us the $6,000 bid to rebuild the gazebo that was damaged, actually destroyed by the fire. And so then after they were pulled over, put in the black and white, they were brought down to near the Cal State San Marcos police station, and we were sitting there in a parking lot. And so this is the guy that actually ended up going off to jail. So this was a much different operation because it had a lot of backup involved and a lot more logistics. But boy, it sure ran very smoothly. And it was nice because over time, the different law enforcement agencies really have a good understanding of these laws and the importance of going after these people. And especially in San Diego County, and Dave can certainly speak to a number of other counties, you see different levels of willingness to prosecute these kinds of crimes depending on the county. But certainly here in Orange County, I know that they've spoken to us, I think at our meeting last year, our joint meeting, we had people from the DA's office. San Diego County certainly has been very aggressive on this, and a lot of different counties around the state, and that's why you see a lot of our operations take place there and we get a lot of support. Yeah, this is the gentleman, Mr. Hargrove, who ended up going off to jail. So again, my perspective, a little different since I'm not actually in enforcement, but I've been on dozens of these operations, and we still cringe a little bit when we hear that in Nevada that your guy is usually there by himself with no backup. So we applaud them. I know that you've got a whole system in place to make sure that your staff is protected, but I know we feel a lot safer having backup there with us. So I don't know if there's any questions I can answer, or I'm sure Dave, wherever Dave is, he can speak to any other questions about Sting's operations as a whole, or that enforcement work. And also, I do want to say, with the Border Blitz too, we did work with Jennifer and your folks at your public affairs office there, and they're always great to work with. And we did a joint press release as far as the Border Blitz, and we coordinated our efforts, and that's always very easy, and we love working with them as well.
Hey Rick, I think it's important that you share with them how effective we are the day after the fire, and how you didn't find it.
Yeah, it is one of the things that over time, and the folks who were here back in the 90s, about the last this thing we worry about is earthquakes. It's one thing when you got a wildfire where you've got very centralized damage, and it makes it a little bit easier to do the outreach. But our enforcement staff, at least in this fire and in many other fires, were part of a task force of different agencies. In this case, it was the California Department of Insurance and the San Diego County DA's office. But they have a task force, and they all gather, and they go out into the neighborhoods within the first day or two after after, let's say in this case, a fire. And we've got educational pamphlets, we've got signs that we post in the area warning the homeowners that they may be preyed upon by unlicensed or unscrupulous contractors. Other signs that warn the unlicensed contractors that if they do get caught trying to get work in a disaster area, that it can be prosecuted as a felony. And so the education begins almost immediately. And over the years, we've seen more and more success. And with this sting operation, we knew going into it that there was a very good chance we would not catch anybody and be able to charge them with a felony. There was no advertisements on Craigslist. People weren't getting bombarded at their house with flyers, which we'd seen a lot in the past. They have things stapled to the telephone pole outside their home, all these kinds of advertisements. We just didn't see it. And we did not find a single person that we could invite out who was trying to prey upon the homeowners who were the victims. So that's the good news. The bad news was it was no problem finding plenty of unlicensed people to come out and give bids. I mean, so a lot of the stuff that you saw, these were people that were going to get charged with the misdemeanors, not the felonies because of the fire. So that problem hasn't gone away. But at least the problem that the education has really helped, it's kept the people from going out and preying on the people who are the victims of the fire. Good. All right.
We'd like Nancy Mathias to come forward and talk a little bit about our licensing initiatives and partnering with California.
Thank you. I listened to your licensing report yesterday, and it sounds like we're seeing a lot of the same trends and facing a lot of the same challenges in our state with respect to applications. Over this last year, we've had a small, modest increase in the number of applications, and we're on track to see about a 4% increase this year over last year, and about 11% when compared to 2012. And even though those are modest increases, they're kind of exciting to us when we compare them to 2 or 3 years ago where we were seeing substantial declines. The other trend that we noticed over this past year is that a lot of our applicants are coming in and they had failed businesses or revoked licenses during the economic downturn. And now that things are improving a little bit, they're wanting to get back in the game. And those applications pose a specific challenge for Nevada, especially with our financial responsibility requirements. They're coming in and they're not well capitalized. They're already heavily leveraged. A lot of them have liens and lawsuits pending or recorded against them. And so we're having to deal with those issues, and it really can slow down the process. As we're looking forward to some of our initiatives in the coming year, we always look at ways we can streamline our application process and hopefully improve our processing times. So we're looking at ways to separate those more challenging applications from the rest of the pool, so we can keep the applications moving for those applicants that don't have these problems and improve their experience while giving adequate time and investigation into those applicants that require that. We're denying about 15% of our applications, and so we're also looking at ways to streamline our application hearing process as well, and we've made a lot of progress toward that, and we'll continue to do that this next year as well. Some of the other initiatives that the licensing department is working on is making lists available to the general public by classification. So when consumers want, for example, to hire a painting contractor, they'll be able to call up a list in their particular county or area to select from. And then we're also looking at ways to help contractors who want to transition between our B2 and B classification. In Nevada, we have different general building categories, and one limits the contractor to work on structures of up to 3 stories. And many of those contractors want to move into arena where they can either remodel or construct high-rise buildings, and they struggle to demonstrate the experience in order to do that. So we'll be looking at ways that we can maybe make a path for them to improve and move into that area as well.
Any questions, members? All right. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Back to you, Margie Green.
Okay. At this time, we'd like to turn it over to our chair, Kevin Burke, who will sort of facilitate the discussion between board members on topics and current trends. We did put together a list of just some talking points and comments. So, Mr. Burke, would you?
Certainly. Thank you, Ms. Green. This is the part of the agenda where we just open it up amongst board members and the folks up here to really just talk about where the industry is going, what trends you're seeing. I'll start off with just overall in Nevada, of course, we were one of the hardest hit states in the country in terms of the downturn in the economy. Very, very high unemployment in construction. And now we're in our regrowth. We're starting to see that. It still is a bit spotty, but we're starting to see regrowth. And I'd just like to throw it out to the California board. What are you seeing? I know California being such a large state, you've got microeconomies all over the state, so I'm sure it's different everywhere. But if the California board members could just comment on what you're seeing in terms of the economy today and as you see it going forward.
One thing we're noticing, I'm a building official in a county building department, and so one thing we've noticed is that building permits and applications, I recently did a spreadsheet because it's budget time, and when we submitted the budget, the numbers weren't there. And then in just the last couple of months, say 6 weeks actually, the numbers have increased so much that the numbers we're seeing in comparison to 2006 and 2007. So we're getting applications, permits issued, plan reviews, submittals. The inspection totals followed in the last 2 weeks because they always followed the permits. But they are bouncing the numbers and matching 2006 and 2007 numbers. And we don't have the same staffing, so it's treading water. I will have to say we have happier customers in the lobby. I mean, the contractors are very happy to wait because they're just so happy to have the work. The thing that's hard is it's different variables. It's not, it used to be that it would be commercial and then followed by residential. This is all over the board. It's agricultural, industrial, it's everything. So it's really, is it just that it's money and they're buying again? Property seems to be selling more, but we're not really sure, and we don't know how long it's going to be there. But it is like majorly busy. And in speaking with, as the president of county building officials, we have a network through a listserv, and it's similar everywhere. We're getting the same kind of feedback through the other building officials that this is happening in their area as well. So.
From a California board standpoint, is the regrowth causing you to rethink things that you need to do differently going forward, or is it pretty much just business as usual, as you are today, and you look out 2-3 years into the future?
Well, I can comment on that from my perspective as a small business owner. The trend really has been a lot of urban growth, and so I think we're talking more about density building, and in that's bringing about a different kind of need for contractors, and in terms of typical in the residential world, in terms of the typical home building and remodels, at least in the northern part of the state, not excluding areas like, big cities like San Francisco, we're seeing more people buying houses than adding on to them, because really the cost of construction is still fairly high. But regionally, it really has to do with where the money is, and that's pretty much dictating the percentage of construction up and down the state. Augie?
Yeah, one of the things that we see in the construction industry, as far as the carpenters go, is like you said, regionally. In the Bay Area, you see a lot of affordable housing, mixed-use projects getting built. And now with the redevelopment agencies that were dissolved years ago, a lot of cities had bonds sitting out there in limbo. And the legislature and the governor are working on these infrastructure financing districts that would take in this money and hand it out to build more affordable housing. The other thing we see a lot of is infrastructure. When you look into, you look at the Bay Area and you see there's a lot of work, and then people say there's no work out in the valley. There is, but it's all, you know, Fresno to Sacramento, it's all schools, bridges, highways. That's what needs to be, that's what's being built. Out in the valley, you do see infill residential single-family homes being built, but they're not the big McMansions that were being built years ago. The average house is anywhere from 2,000 to 1,000 square feet anymore. For a while, they were going 3,000, 4,000 square foot homes. Now they're all smaller homes, easier for people to get into. And the reason behind a lot of this, this rail infrastructure, this highway infrastructure, is that people from the Bay who can't afford or don't want to live in 300 square foot homes move out to the valley and do the 2.5 hour commute with me. I appreciate everyone who's commuting with me, and please take a bus or a train. I would if I could. But that, you know, that's some of the things that we see going on in the construction industry as far as labor. We do see a lot of schools moving their kids into apprenticeships versus college anymore too. So that's a nice thing. And I think construction is on a rebound, at least with our labor union.
I wanted to add, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Paul.
There's two trends that, and sticking with the labor motif, there's two trends that I see. Okay, so I have a steel construction company, and in a bad market we might have 120 employees, and in a good market maybe 200 employees. And so we have a residential division that does high-end residential steel work, and we have a commercial division that does private and public works. Okay, so on the labor side, what's been interesting is that the whether or not it's the texting or whatnot, but you know, 15 years ago, the labor force was heavily Hispanic, heavily non-English speaking, and there was a ceiling on their ability to work their way through the ranks. And what we see today, what I'm seeing today, is that the 20 to 25-year-old employment group is fluent in English. I mean, I used to walk into the shop, and if I couldn't speak Spanish, I couldn't communicate with anybody. I walk in the shop now, and it's, hey boss, what's up? It's wonderful. So these ceilings that existed in our society, I think, are starting to go away for our workforce in Southern California, at least in LA, which is a real neat thing to see. On the work side, and I was interested, Nancy, the way you phrased it, but what I've seen over the last 20 years is that the high-end residential work, because we're pretty much limited to that market, we don't do tract homes, that kind of thing, it generally goes first and then the commercial follows. And what we're looking at right now is that we're back, following through what you're saying, we're as busy as we were now as we've ever been in that residential world. It's not a large part of the business, unfortunately, but it's as busy as it's ever been. I mean, I venture to say it's even busier than it's ever been, which is a huge indicator of what usually follows after, which once the money starts flowing, and I mean, candidly, it's people with stupid money. But once they stop deciding to pretend like they're poor, because they're not, and they start pumping the money back into this high-end construction industry, well, employment starts going back up, and that starts flowing the money down the line into all the employees, and it kickstarts a lot of things in our local area, and it leads into the commercial work that goes with it. And the public market, you know, like Augie was saying, there's still a lot of bond money that's still filtering its way into the system, so we still have a lot of bond type work that we're bidding these days.
Well, not to interrupt, but to interrupt.
No, I'm on a diatribe.
You
We
know,
can let talk all day.
in Northern California, school districts passed over $3 billion in bonds this past election, this past Tuesday. So, I mean, the move is towards, you know, and you see Superintendent Torlakson is going towards a bond, statewide bond, to fix all of these old decrepit schools, because they don't want to put new technology in buildings that are falling over. So the trend is definitely towards infrastructure and, of course, the affordable housing out in the Bay Area areas. And, you know, Apple spaceship, they're out there. It's bigger than a Pentagon. They're going to, at some point, they're going to have 6,000 construction workers working on that project.
It's huge.
Nancy.
Kevin had asked what we're doing different. So just one other part to that, one thing that we've noticed is, and then kind of what we just went over here, is technology. It's not the same as 06 and 07. I think you said if you go back to when you did the first website, there is the need of speed and immediacy and having it now. So one of the things that we've been doing is, and just speaking as far as building department and how to handle this load, is there's a new way of handling things electronically. So there's a lot more electronic submittals. There's more permit streamlined in the sense of online permitting. There's more conversations through texting and emails that are happening. So to me, that's a whole new trend. That's a whole new way of doing business. You're not necessarily having the one-to-one meetings on face-to-face, but you're doing a lot of this electronically. You need something to get that permit submitted. They're doing it right there. They can do it right on the spot to us. We're connected straight with CSLB to check that license, check that workman's comp. Everything's just, it's so quick and it's so fast, and that is the need almost. And it's an expectation with the younger crowd of how they do business. And so it's keeping up with that, but making sure that you have the right checks and balances and that we're doing everything that we need to do and not doing it too fast, if you know what I mean. So that's a new trend for us as well, of staying in touch with the stakeholders and trying to meet their needs and keeping the consumers informed of what's going on and how to protect them too. So that's kind of a new thing that's going on. I mean, that's my personal thought, but what we're experiencing as well.
Yeah. Hey, Augie, you were mentioning something the other day about what you see as young people, their trends towards housing. I thought that was really interesting.
But, you know, the new millennials, right, that's the group that's 24, 25 and younger. You know, they're tuned into their cell phones. They don't buy television sets. They watch everything on the internet, and they like communal living. You know, living in the valley, you'd think that these kids would want to drive cars because it takes a while to get somewhere, but they all want to use public transit. They all want to live in smaller homes, you know. Every parent that I know who's got a kid in high school, including mine, had to twist an arm to get the kid to get a license to drive the car. And, you know, and that's why San Francisco and places like that are going to the smaller houses. Kids want to live in urban society and big
property, and several of those routes, and wasn't sure where to build. But it got done, much to the concern of our southern folks, because we took a lot of the money to build that project, and we're very happy with it. It cuts a lot of time off, and it's a great bridge. Thank you. In northern Nevada, we believe we've turned the economy to the good side. It's a slow change. It's been very slow, but it's on the positive side. We see the major home builders, Toll, Lennar, Syntex, building homes again. Most of them are pre-sold, and it's certainly not at the rate that you'll see in some California or even Las Vegas areas. But they all seem to be very happy with the turn of the tide, and they are building homes. I've even seen some substantial custom homes being built in the Somerset area, which is up in the northwest. It's a 2,700-acre master plan community. Out in the Field Creek area, which is down in the southwest part of Reno, they're building custom homes, and up in the Galena area, which is at the foothills in the forest, they're building homes again. So as a landscaper, that's good for us because we like to do design build for custom homes. We're currently working on a project for Kiewit called the Southeast Connector, first phase of that, which will be an arterial byway to get people along the eastern edge of the Truckee Meadows, which will alleviate a lot of the traffic on the 580 system going north and south. The Washoe County Building Department has hired additional plan checkers, so that's always a good indication that there's more submissions of plans and looking for permits going forward. Some very promising things. The drone industry, we've been approved for 2 different sites, both in the Stead area, which is a small regional airport north of Reno, and also out at the Fallon Naval Air Station. So we think that the drone business will bring peripheral business to us. One of the things that we're all holding our breath on is the Elon Musk to make a decision as to where he's going to put his battery factory. As you folks probably know, that there's... What's that?
Oh, excuse me, I just called.
Yeah. We think Nevada's obviously the best site. You know, we're right there on Interstate 80. We're just around the corner from his operations in California. We have interstate transportation, a rail system, and he's got 2 sites that we think are possible there, and that's Tahoe Regional Industrial Center, which is east of town, very, very large industrial park, and then again the Stead Airport, which gives him some other opportunities. We also have a lithium mine down in central Nevada, so I think they need that for batteries. They tell us that. We have a similar situation in Nevada in terms of infrastructure funding. We are suffering from having the capacity, the bonding, and that sort of thing, and it's been very, very difficult. I'm on the Government Affairs Committee for the AGC in Northern Nevada, and we're constantly lobbying for additional funding with the legislature, and they seem to be turning a deaf ear to us. They've got other priorities, so we will continue to do that. One of the things that's really got a lot of people in Nevada concerned at the moment, and everyone's holding their breath, is what they call the Education Initiative. And in fact, it's a margins tax, and it's a tax on your gross sales, 2%. If we get that, if the populace votes on that, we will instantly go to one of the highest tax states in the United States.
That's awesome. We'll get all those businesses to come back to California. We should pass that.
So, you know, all the smart people say, well, that could never pass. Well, we're concerned about the spot that comes out. You know, Walmart really needs to pay more tax for our education. And that appeals to a lot of people. And we're very concerned that that might pass. But we're going to be spending a lot of money and effort to prevent that.
Was Tesla that was relocating to Nevada? Is that the one that's... Is that what you're talking about?
I think Tesla's waiting. To echo some of the other thoughts, we have a small area in Reno called Midtown, and it's seeing a renaissance, and old homes are being developed into restaurants, and new restaurants going in that area. We talk about the younger people living in the older areas. My son just bought a home in the old Southwest, had to have this 1,100, 1,200 square foot home built in 1929, and I'm looking at it going, oh, what a nightmare. And he's going, what a challenge. Yeah. And he's jumped in with both feet and all of his money, and we'll see how that goes. I'm actually enjoying the idea of going to these midtown places. Supposedly one of the older guys in the room. I love being involved and interacting with the younger people and seeing what they're up to. It's an interesting time. That's about all I've got.
Wonderful report. Members, responses?
John.
Questions? Nancy?
I'd just like to, on what Kevin said earlier, age in place, CSU Chico in my area had actually asked us to come out on a public outreach on that. So that is a big thing that's happening in our area of teaming up with local general contractors and explaining to the senior group on how that it's a lot cheaper to do a remodel on your own home and age in place than it is to pay out the amount of money that you pay monthly to go to a care center. And so we are seeing a little bit of a trend in that. It's more the trend current is getting that information out there and letting people know that that is something that they can do. And it's amazing how many people don't even consider that. They just think that it's you're just going to go to a care home, or they start these medical plans at work and stuff to take care of that later on. But we are hearing a lot of phone calls coming in, the word's starting to get out, and that is, they have an ongoing meetings with that agent in place. So, and we do go out and do the outreach with them and team up and let them know some of the requirements we would have with their new, to change their homes and renovate them. So that is happening, and it is out there.
Just, if I can, to pivot and take the conversation internally now to the specific boards and staff, and I'd ask Steve if you could comment, and Ms. Green if you could as well. As we look forward 3-5 years now, we're out of the downturn of the economy. What are we looking to do from an organization standpoint? Does our staff have the requisite skill set we need them to? What are we doing in terms of recruiting? What are we doing in terms of training to anticipate the future needs of our respective organizations?
I don't care because I'm retiring.
I did not tee you up for that.
We'll be editing that out.
No, actually,
Really your exit review.
yeah. I don't care, I'm retiring. That is a challenge statewide. I mean, other departments are worse off than the Consumer Affairs. I think it used to be called Department of Corporations. They had like 50% of their professional staff are over 50 or 55 or something like that. There's going to be a huge brain drain. We're seeing it now in some organizations. For the Contractors Board, we've had a plan in place. We have a separate plan for IT because IT is so critical. That's one area. In licensing, it's not that big of a challenge. In processing, however, we have the knowledge base is really centered in a few people that are, 50 or so, and we're hopeful that that knowledge will be passed down. But we will not have the knowledge base we had, 10 years ago, 5 or 10 years ago. In enforcement, that's a whole separate thing. David has created a whole approach. I mean, we developed our own enforcement academy. It's a 5-day training session where you get certified. We have training all the time. We're developing future leaders. Under state personnel rules, you can't pre-select, but we're giving people we think have the possibility, the tools, so they can compete when positions become available. So I would say that enforcement, as long as David gets his annual physicals and takes care of himself and never retires, enforcement, I think, will be in pretty good shape in the decades to come. But I really think it's licensing and IT, just because the knowledge is so complicated. That's the real challenge. A lot of it is the state is trying to develop succession planning. I think our board is way ahead of other organizations, but it's just going to be a real challenge. Of course, our scope is much bigger than Nevada, just because we have so many more people. But it's a mixed bag. We're going to have problems in the next 10 years. Margie?
I would concur with those remarks. We have had a significant turnover, or will have, in people retiring, and our knowledge base is becoming critical. The recruitment is difficult because now that the construction industry is picking up again, if we're looking for investigators or seasoned investigators, that pool is diminishing. We do look at people that are working with building departments. We have some possible recruitments that we're working on from there. Our licensing staff is we have some new employees that have started within the last year or two, and some very good potential there. But it is difficult to have a succession plan in place and promote people within when there are now opportunities in the construction industry or other public arenas. We are very fortunate we're not part of state personnel, as all of you or most of you know. So we can basically recruit without going through the state system, which is great, but it's still difficult. Finding qualified people for jobs, we do get a lot of applicants. Most of them that we get are not qualified, do not have the skill set. So how we train new people going forward is a definite challenge. And we look to what the industry is doing. We also look to what California does as what to do and what not to do sometimes. But on a go-forward basis, our IT department is going to, again, be critical to the overall development of the Contractors Board in Nevada.
I've got a question for our labor members, but what's the workforce looking like? I mean, a lot of the workforce, skilled labor, is aging, and are there people that'll be able to do the technical construction work in the next 10 years as
we've got
people retire?
Our apprenticeship has gone from an average age of 30 down to 24. And we're actively working with cities and school districts and putting in vocational trainings, pre-apprenticeship programs into the high schools and recruiting kids to come into our organization, our apprenticeship. There's a lot of training that we had, a lot of remedial training that we have to do because kids coming out of high school can't read, write, and do math. So we find ourselves doing a lot of that, but we're pretty confident we're going to have plenty of people to do the work.
For the UA and the pipe trades, it's very, very similar. We've been aware of this problem for at least the last 10 years. We had one of our general officers that came up with this idea of, I know he heard it somewhere else, the pig and the python, which is the baby boomers moving through society towards retirement. And it doesn't take much to figure out that with that happening, you're going to have a huge burden not only on your our trust funds when they all start to retire. So you have to do, like Augie was mentioning, you have to make sure you get younger people coming in that can balance that out long term. So we've been aware of it for many, many years and have been working towards that. As far as recruitment goes, we've had a mandate in place that a minimum of 25% of each and every local union have to be apprentices. So, that helps build the future workforce right there. And we've had, if we open up, depending on their location, if they open the apprenticeship listings up for application, we can get 600, 700, 800 people apply, depending on where it is. Some locals have, they apply all the time, weekly, because they need the help. And so overall, it looks good for us. I think we'll be well prepared into the future for any contingency for work that we see coming up, which is huge, actually.
For the sheet metal workers, it's basically the same thing. We do have this age group of probably somewhere about 50 and over that are going to retire, because our retirement age is at 52, in the next 5 to 10 years. And then that's going to be a big gap, because a good percentage of those people are the leaders of the companies. They're either the superintendents or some kind of detailer or whatever in some kind of supervisory position, and they're going to be gone. And there is going to be a little bit of a gap until we make that up, but I don't see it as a huge issue. I know that for the mechanical crafts going forward, the energy efficiency or green or sustainability market or whatever is going to be huge for us, because the mechanical systems in a home and or in a commercial building are, the biggest energy draw. So in the near future, we're going to have to keep training even more towards that than we already are, and bringing younger people in. One thing good about younger people, they actually get that part now. It's the older people that a lot of times don't believe it. So that's actually a good thing for the younger people coming in.
John O'Rourke.
Right, on the electrical side, we have a great interest in our apprenticeship program, so we always have great turnout, and we're able to select very good candidates for our programs. We did hit that 08 to 11 downturn where some of our programs had to limit individuals coming in or actually stopped hiring apprentices. And we did deal with that unemployment like we all did. I mean, it was a depression for the construction industry. People called it the Great Recession. We saw it as a depression, where some locals had 40 and 50% unemployment. So it's very difficult to take in apprentices during those periods of unemployment. However, we're ramping up. Many areas are seeing increased work opportunities. We see also, because of that downturn, retirements. When you look at actuals versus eligible, people are sticking around a little bit to catch up and pick up some of those pension credits or to get some more time in because they worked on a limited basis perhaps during that 3 to 5 year window. So what we recommend is vibrant apprenticeship programs. We like to keep our apprenticeship programs full because it's the future of the industry, and it supports our employers. When they're bidding work, they need to have a composite rate so they can have journeyman and apprentice rates to be competitive in the different arenas they bid work in. We also ask all of our local unions to look at a 5 or 7 year window where you look at all eligibles, know you're eligible. First of all, know the average age of your programs in your local union. I know in San Francisco it was 42.5 years of age was the average. But we ask every local to look at your 5 to 7 year plan, see how many are actually retiring, and each year look at how many are eligible to retire. So you get a pretty good understanding of what your needs are and then projecting out needs of your geographic area as it relates to work opportunities. So we can always mobilize and bring electrical workers in throughout the United States and Canada into an area where there's significant work, but it's nice also to be able to bring in electrical workers who are currently out there working and maybe didn't have the opportunities to serve a formal apprenticeship program, get them in, get them their skill sets upgraded, make them part of our program. So it's, I believe we're going to be fine. We have a lot of interest, and you see sometimes when you look at the applications, many of the individuals applying for apprenticeship have 2 years of community college, 4 years of college. They want to come in. They recognize that their career opportunity is with an apprenticeship program and the skilled crafts versus sitting in a cubicle trying to scratch out a living. I think we're going to be fine.
Paul.
There's an interesting, so we're steelworkers, Local 433, and we had a lot of the guys that were going to retire didn't, and they're staying on, and these guys are in their mid to late 50s now, and it's a great resource for training these kids coming through, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and it's something that 5 years ago was just darn depressing to talk about, and now you're seeing these kids come through, and they're excited, and they're working hard, and they're getting trained by these old salts that know what to do, and it's wonderful. So it's exciting. It's a good time. Yeah.
Steve.
John, this is off on a tangent, but what's going on with Treasure Island? What are they going to do with Treasure Island? Do you know what they plan for that? And tell them what Treasure Island is if you don't know.
Treasure Island is it's that island that there was a U.S. Navy facility. It's right on the other side of the Bay Bridge when you come out of the city. It's part of the city and county of San Francisco. There's a very ambitious plan to develop a 20-year plan. And I used to have reduced to memory the number of single-family homes, multi-units, schools, et cetera. That escapes me at the moment. But first and foremost, we need to shore up the island. We got to make sure that that island is not sinking. Once that is established, then the development starts. The plan is to make and to ensure that that will be the greenest place in America.
See some work for Linda.
They intend to develop that and position housing, we'll have solar, we'll have wind turbines. We're going to have water transit and water taxis to provide for ingress and egress on and off the island so we don't load up that Bay Bridge approach. It's a very ambitious plan. I believe it will come to fruition because there's so much interest and it's very much needed. I mean, we have housing currently out on the island, but when you take it right out there, I personally believe some of the best views, one of the best locations in the city is out on Treasure Island, so we'll see that develop.
I know as late as 6 months ago, Lennar was extremely interested in doing that project, and I don't know if they still are, but they had some big plans for participating in that.
I'd heard that they have to raise the, like 10 feet because climate change, they're worried about flooding and that they're going to put like some kind of high-rise condos maybe, or is there going to be office space? Is it like everything, mixed use, or?
Yeah, I believe it's mixed use. There's a hotel component, there's condominium components, there's low-income housing, there's a Job Corps that will stay out on the island, that's currently out there. But there's going to be fire station, police station, schools, library. I mean, that was the overall plan, and I'm a bit removed from it, but I do know that, it's been in discussion for every bit of 10 years. There's an active group that's engaged and involved with the development of Treasure Island, so I do believe you'll see a little bit of everything out there, because when you develop an area, you have to bring the services in to accommodate the people who live in the area, so there'll be retail opportunities, and the idea is to have people come in and out of the city for work, but once again, transit-based housing, transit hubs, the ability to stay in place and go and shop, use your neighborhoods, and have all your resources right there, so you're not coming on and off the island to take care of your day-to-day needs. So it's I believe, pretty well thought out. It's just a matter of a number of moving parts, and there's some other outstanding issues right now that have to be addressed.
I was there during Loma Prieta when I was in the Marine Corps. The type of infrastructure work they have to do to that thing was built for the World's Fair in 1939. It's all landfill. So during the earthquake, that island liquefied, and the door, the 3.0 door in 3 feet moved 8 inches from one side to the other. And that was the base, the concrete all buckled. And before the Navy turned it over, they put in $2 billion into rebuilding that. They put dolphin pens in, they did all kinds of infrastructure work. But they're aggressively looking. They're looking at everything from surrounding it with sheet pile, driving pile down the middle to tighten it up, and putting more dirt on it, like you said, to raise it up for global warming. But I don't care what you do to that island, this Mexican will never live on it. I'll tell you.
Okay, moving on.
Can I make a comment, Chair? Just a comment. I just thought of this as all of the labor representatives here were talking about their apprenticeship programs, which, I admire you for really educating our next generation into your next trades. I think that's very important. But let me put my academic hat on now. As I see many of the students at the university level, they're generalists. They really don't know what they want to do. But in my university, we mandate that every single graduate has to go through an internship program. They have to intern somewhere, whether it's business, whether it's government, whether it's a nonprofit, just to see what opportunities there are. So I know, Kevin, you asked, where is our organization going to be going? Well, where are they going to be going? Where do you find new people that you might have an interest in doing what you're doing, or where your needs are? Well, you invite them to be an intern at your organization. Usually they're free. They're required to be there X number of hours. If you want a long-term intern, hey, this is an opportunity for them to meet you and for you to meet them. And it's a win-win, I think, opportunity. So, that's something that probably you don't think of, is going to the universities in your area, going to the career centers and telling them that you have an internship opportunity. And, you might find a good intern that could either do some marketing for you, can do some customer service work for you, can do office operations for you, whatever it might be. But that's a really good resource for you to think of. That's my pitch.
Members, on these handouts that you were given, and I'm not sure how, we haven't meant to just follow from page 1 to page 2, and if you'd like to open up to the discussion on any particular issues this would be a good time to do that. Where could we start? We have, all right. What about the area of partnering? Partnering. Excuse me. Yeah.
Madam Chair, it seems to me that we've been discussing all these issues all along ever since we started the meeting. You know, as far as going through each and every one of these, I'll see you later. Because I think we've already done that. I just wanted to make that comment.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Any other issues or concerns popping out of this agenda that we've provided for you? We've done a really good job.
I agree.
All right, before we adjourn, are you ready, or is there anything else?
Let me, on behalf of the Nevada Board, once again, thank California for hosting this meeting. I can tell you we look forward to it every year. We are a better organization and a better board because of our friendship and our affiliation with California. I can tell you that. Every time we come over, we try to find nuggets, and I can tell you we found some today. And we're, so we come over with that energy, and I just hope that we continue to do this into the future. And again, we appreciate the friendship and look at you as peers and colleagues, and want to thank you. And I know I speak for my fellow board members as well.
Margie.
Thank you. I would just like to say I'm really going to miss Steve Sands. This will be our last. This will be our last joint meeting with Steve, and he has been a great friend of not only the board but me personally for the past 12 years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated everything you've done for the state of Nevada, as well as NASPA and your own state. So thank you, Steve. You'll be missed.
Hear, hear.
And I just want to echo the sentiments that you expressed, Kevin. Thank you for your generosity and the board's generosity, both in hosting, co-hosting this meeting. And we really enjoyed our dinners last night and all the conversation. And I just want to thank everybody for being here and making this huge effort that you do every year, and we expect this relationship to continue into perpetuity and beyond. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries.